Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. It is a brand new fight companion, a UFC watch along. We're talking about none other than UFC 317, and we're here on time today, guys. We're a couple minutes late to the stream, but we're still ahead of schedule, right? We don't have any UFC fights on just yet. The fights will be starting very shortly. I believe we've got Alvin Hines right now making the walk for the first heavyweight fight of the night. He will be taking on the guy who was supposed to be fighting here, Jonathan Diniz, the big Brazilian, the former Glory heavyweight kickboxer. So I'm excited to see how this entire fight card shakes out. I'm excited to talk about it all with you guys, and I'm excited to break down these fights as they take place. So if you guys are new here, welcome aboard. My name's Liam. I pick fights on the channel each and every week. This week, of course, we're going to be talking about these fights as they're going down. I've done plenty of predictions. I've gone through my thoughts on a lot of these fights. I brought on some great guests as well throughout the course of the week. My brother Wiz, we did the post-weigh-in show yesterday. We had our guy Pepe Sylvia as well, the king of New York. He was on for Bets and Banter. So we've discussed a lot of these fights. We've lost some fights already, guys. If you were not aware, there was supposed to be a fight going on right now. The fight card was supposed to start at 7 o'clock Eastern. However, what happened? This guy, Christopher Ewert, he was signed on about 3 to 4 days notice. He said I could make weight. Unfortunately, he was cutting from about 213 pounds, tried to make 185 pounds. If you guys have ever cut weight before, I'll just tell you, the prospect of cutting weight like that, 30 pounds or whatever it is in 3 or 4 days, it just sounds absolutely dire. His body stopped responding. He was, about 10 pounds away doing workouts in the sauna, not losing any more weight. The UFC put the kibosh on it. They said, that's enough. Let's call it. And they cut him from the UFC, unfortunately. So Ewert was signed to the UFC 3 or 4 days ago. He's no longer with the promotion, guys. He was in and out the door like that meme from The Simpsons of the grandpa grabbing his hat at the bar. But when I'm looking at this, this guy McVeigh on the other side, poor bastard, shows up, does everything right, makes weight, does it all on short notice. If you guys remember, he was supposed to fight SD Dumas. This fight week has been an absolute disaster in terms of this fight staying together. Dumas was supposed to fight McVeigh. McVeigh, shows up, does his job, but Dumas has to pull out of the fight midweek because he's got an ankle monitor on and he can't get the ankle monitor off in time to get into the cage. Unbelievable stuff. Only in the UFC. What kind of sport are we dealing with? But guys, I want to say this. Shout out to everybody who's already rocking with us. We've got people in the chat. Maria was letting me know that I'm late. That's fair play, Maria. I'm trying my best. The internet this week, no fault of my own, guys. I've had great internet since I moved to this apartment that I live. However, I will just say Spectrum Internet, they have been doing a horrible job this week. So if y'all have dealt with them, you know what I'm dealing with. Not just me. I will say I talked to another friend of mine who lives on the opposite side of New York, many, many hours away, and they were telling me they were dealing with the same thing. So Lord willing, the internet will cooperate. We'll have everything that we need to keep the ball rolling tonight. But I appreciate everybody rocking with us. Sharpest chat in the game. Desi Jose says, I'm excited. This is pay-per-view worthy. Absolutely. Could not agree more. Dixon is in the chat, a OG and original. Thoughts on Denise Smith-McKinney, all by KO to kick off the card. Could I see it? Yes. Do I think McKinney is live by sub? Yes. Do I think that Deniz could be a bag fumbler? I think that there's at least a chance. And you said Smith. I think Jacoby Smith is going to absolutely roll. So in that regard, I'm definitely going to agree with you there. Dixon says, what's the bet for the first fight of the night, my brother? Hammer the Hines 1+ takedown line, you ask. That is a great question by you. And I have to say, I'm going to pull up my documents here that I make each and every week. Because I do have some thoughts on this first fight of the night. I made a betting strategy guide for all of the fights on the prelims. I still will, as I'm getting, but I think when you have a guy like Deniz who does not have takedown defense, I can't justify laying minus 460. However, if this fight stays on the feet, he's the much bigger guy. He's got a lot of length, and both guys are in the cage. So we're about to get right into the commentary, guys. But that being said, we'll be talking about the betting angles and everything else on the course of the stream. Shout out to Colin right here. Says Deniz on his back equals round lost. I think that's very, very possible. Deniz has not shown a great get-up game, in my humble opinion, and he has given up at least one takedown in all 3 of his UFC fights to start his career. So let's see how it shakes out here. We have another guy here who took this fight on short notice. Denise was supposed to take on a Tafa brother, if you guys remember. Instead, he's now taking on a guy who actually knows jiu-jitsu. Could be a whole different ballgame. Let's find out. Fight starting now, and I've got alternate commentary for you guys. Here we go. Welcome to UFC 317. Welcome to the Fight Companion. God bless. Good luck. Enjoy the fights. We're underway. 542, 41, or excuse me, 50. Now we're in the 40s. All right. We're getting there, guys. They're throwing to start. Hines is trying to get in there, but Denise clearly has the longer reach. He's touching a little bit with that overhand. Hines trying to get inside, trying to close the distance. Hasn't been able to get too close. We got about 35 seconds down here. Oh, wow. Nice shot by Denise. That right hand found the mark. I have to make sure I cut off the sound. I'd love to hear the crowd noise and these shots landing, but I don't want to hear these commentators and what they're saying. Let it bias me. You're seeing Hines is willing to be aggressive, but man, he just walked onto a jab, and you just see that his defense is not on point right now. Denise is finding the mark with his jabs. He's finding the mark with his shots. Hines is no punk though, man. He's coming forward. He's occupying the center right now. He just landed a half decent body shot, but I would just say right now, Hines is a defensive void. He's relying on his toughness. He has a little bit of a head pullback when he gets too close in range. But in terms of when he's there, I'm not seeing a lot of hand parries. I'm not seeing a lot of traps. I'm seeing him mostly just walk onto these shots. That was a good overhand right by Hines. Denise got caught a little bit. Nice shot by Hines. Beautiful job. Denise did a good job getting right back up. That looked like an illegal knee. I'm not too sure. Both guys are trading, though. Hines was not able to keep that position for long. They ran right into the cage on that takedown attempt. Man, that was unbelievable. I think that knee was actually legal on the replay. They're showing a replay in the bottom left corner. I think that knee was legal. Denise came up just in time. Man, that was a razor's edge, huh? Explosive start between these two. Definitely some swelling on the right eye already of Hines. His face looking battered. But he has landed his fair share of shots, I will say. He's not afraid of this glory kickboxer, man. He looked for the takedown, but when he didn't quite consolidate the position, he went right back to throwing hands, man. You're seeing Denise not wearing as much damage. They both stung each other with jabs there, but it looked like Denise did more damage. He's got the longer arms here. He's got about a 4.5-inch reach advantage. So you're seeing Hines reaching with his punches. You're seeing Denise putting a lot of good shots on him, and Hines is already wearing it, man. He's got a pretty brutalized face at this point. Denise looks like the much more comfortable striker. However, when you're seeing Hines throw, he does have some commitment behind his shots. One of these overhand rights could change the complexion, but Denise seems to be more powerful, more confident, more cool in the pocket right now. Hines just got a decent little left hook. He's already bleeding out the mouth. Man, Hines is putting him on the end of his shots right now. He actually found a decent home for that right hand as well. But you could just see the difference in class between these two shots. Oh, nice takedown attempt. Good job defending it by Denise. Denise cut off a better angle with the hips there and then found a nice long left hand. Seemed to have got Hines on the back foot. Hines was occupying the center, and he's using that jab to come forward. But unfortunately, Denise's feints are now starting to get a lot of respect from Hines. So he's having to occupy the back foot. He's having to make this a more, pot shot range fight, which is not where he wants to be. He wants to be all the way in or all the way out. Man, Denise is starting to open up on him. You're seeing Denise get a little bit more confident with the hands. He's starting to throw some combinations. You saw him go for a front kick up the middle. It didn't land, but he's just showing that, he's got a little bit more class and technique. There is a good kicking exchange. Oh, Hines just ran onto a huge right hand. Wow. Hines has a chin from just south of Hades, guys. When I tell you a glory kickboxer has hit him on the chin about 15 times very cleanly already in this first round, and he is not quitting on himself despite having major damage, despite having a clear broken orbital, despite having blood dripping from his nose. This man, Alvin Hines, is blue-collar tough. No doubt about it. Take nothing away from what he's doing right now. He looks like a guy fighting in slow motion right now compared to Denise on the feet, but he is showing that he wants to be here, that he deserved an opportunity in the UFC. I'll say it. When we talk about these guys, we've seen a lot of guys that would come in and give up for less. I'll just tell you that. This guy, Alvin Hines, showing he wants to be here. He wants to get into this fight right now. He's getting beat up, but he is still fighting hard. And, dude, he looks like a guy who is in over his head right now in terms of where his face looks relative to Denise, but he's still throwing. Nobody told him he couldn't win this fight. Holy smokes, man. And guys, one thing I will note, I unfortunately I did not get to mention this on the stream, so I won't take too much credit for it. But this fight's about to go into the second round, okay? And unless the corner stops it between rounds, then I think that Denise is very, very live to win this in round 2. And I did mention that in my document. So let me go ahead and pull up the betting strategy guide. And I'll make sure that this is posted over on Patreon as well. But this is a fight that is trending in the wrong direction. If you've got Hines right now, I don't know if they're going to credit him for a takedown there. I don't think he technically got him to the ground on that exchange. He got a nice off balance. He pushed him into the fence, went for that big knee upstairs. But yeah, I'm not sure that technically is going to count as a takedown. Let me see if I can pull up UFC stats here. But yeah, that was an absolute brutalizing from Denise in that first round. You just see a lot of difference in the class on the feet. And somebody said the spinning back kick attempt. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Liam, do you agree he looks too happy to be a fighter? Man, there's something to being a happy warrior, right? I do think that there's something about ruthless positivity that can get you further than, let's say, cynical realism, right? Especially when you're trying to compete in professional athletics. However, you need skills and athleticism, attributes to pay the bills. It's not just about how bad you want it in fighting. So Hines has all the want to in the world right now, but Denise is also a guy that wants it. And the difference is he's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit more athletic. He's got more experience on the feet and he's landing the better shots. So now we're back to work in round 2, guys. And the KO2 for Denise was plus 400. If he's able to stuff takedowns in this round, I would be kind of surprised if he's not able to get him out of here because I've just seen a lot of wear on the face of Hines, and he did look to be slowing down to me in between rounds as well. So Hines is a guy that has great cardio. He's known for that. But one thing that can really sap your cardio, in my humble opinion, folks, is when you get beat up in a fight. It doesn't matter if you got great cardio, if you just take an absolute shellacking in terms of damage, because it's very hard to stay in that fire. And Denise is kind of dancing on him now. He's getting loose. Denise is definitely ahead right now on the cards. And you're seeing Denise find his shots, man. He's looking for that jab. He's looking for that right hand. Hines is presenting himself. He's holding some center. He's looking for these big swinging hooks, but he just doesn't have it right now. He doesn't have these takedowns that he's been going for. It's one thing to take these guys down on a regional level. I think the best guy he took down in my research was Philip Latu, who's not a bad fighter, but ultimately, he's a light heavyweight guy. He's a smaller guy. And you're looking at Denise. He's a big man. He's got big hips, and he was able to hit Hines with the hips multiple times in this fight. And one thing I want to credit Denise for is, he did show a little bit better instincts there, creating angles with the hips, using the fence to get back up. Whereas some of his earlier fights, maybe he didn't have those instincts. He's given up, takedowns in all of his UFC fights so far. To this point, he has not given up any major control time, certainly. If he did give up a takedown, it was for one brief second, and I think you could argue he didn't. Right now, he's got Hines on the ropes. He's been landing a couple of good combinations. Hines' face is starting to look like lunch meat. Hines is starting to leak that ketchup. No disrespect to brother. Whoa, big calf kick from Denise as well. We're at the 2.5-minute mark, and right now the calf of Hines is getting absolutely destroyed, and his face already looks like hamburger meat. So it seems like it's a matter of time. Denise is lining up that right hand. I got to say, absolute hats off to Hines, this guy clearly wants to fight, man. He's got no quitting him. Because if he did, he would have quit a long time ago. He just got hurt real bad, though. That was a huge left hand. He got hurt real bad. He did the wobble. This guy's ability to recover is unbelievable. He's got to be in some kind of shape, guys. Because, wow, he played a little possum there. I think his legs are a little bit gone. But, man, Alvin Hines just threw one of his hardest committed overhand rights at that point in the fight. That's kind of crazy, man. He was doing the stanky leg. He was staggering, and he was throwing back. He's still happy to be there. Dixon, you were saying, is it bad if he's happy to be there? It's bad if he's happy to be there before the fight and then doesn't want to be there in the fight. Bro, he looks like he's just as happy to get punched in the face. He said, I like being in face punching contests. I don't care who does the punching. Oh, my goodness. Alvin Hines, tougher than a $2 steak. Shout out to JR. You see the difference when they try and kick, guys. Denise throws fast kicks. They look pretty athletic. And then Hines, he throws them stationary, tree trunks up there. Way different ball game. The one thing I will say, though, is you've seen a pretty decent job from Hines trying to apply pressure in terms of his cardio. He's trying to use cardio as a weapon and come forward and swing big shots, make Denise use that footwork all night. And Denise does have an open mouth now. He's had to use a lot of footwork going backwards. But right now, I just think he's clearly up 2 rounds. And, he badly hurt Hines in this round as well. So Hines is going to have to change something drastically. He's going to either have to commit to that takedown early in the round for round 3, or he's going to have to find a big shot to change the complexion of this fight. Because right now, he just seems like he's in over his head. Oh, there was a decent kick up the side. Hines just tried to go with a high kick. Again, I'm very impressed by the toughness and the willpower of Hines. Lesser men would have fallen to some of these big shots, these overhand rights that Denise is landing. Although Denise has fallen short on a couple of these punching combinations now. That was a decent left hook over the top. Nice shot by Hines. Denise shucks it off once again. The problem with Hines' wrestling, guys, is he is not getting his hips to the party. He's basically shooting with his upper body and leaving the rest of him behind. Wow, big left hook at the end of the round by Denise. And Hines puts 2 hands up, says, I'm still standing. Hats off to the guy. Hines is one of the toughest SOBs I've ever seen fight in the UFC. That's a fact. This guy is getting absolutely mushed up right now. Hines' face is going to be so swollen tomorrow. That's a fact. Hines really fighting for those takedown bets. Absolutely true. Thank you, Hines, for being so tough. Couldn't agree. Hines catch up. I'm glad somebody caught that, man. I had to throw that in there. Do I sprinkle Hines live? I don't think he's going to win this fight, but it would depend on the number. Liam, I swear if Denise don't finish here, I'm going to cry. I understand where you're coming from. I do. Here, let me go ahead and make sure that this is shared on Patreon, and then I'm going to share it on the screen with you guys as well. Just because it's interesting always to see what you think before the fight and then how it turns out in the fight as well. So we've got the betting strategy guide. Let me copy the link and bear with me, guys, for 2 seconds here. I'm just doing this in between rounds. Okay, here we go. UFC 317. UFC. Nice. Okay, and here we go. We're back at it. Can Goozy Hines change it all around, guys? Can he change it all around? It's been a tough first 2 rounds for the UFC debutant, the UFC newcomer here. Let's go ahead and change our font up as well. I'm going to pull this into this tab. Oh, beautiful. Now we're cooking with gas. Hines is again shooting for takedowns. Yo, if you had Hines takedowns, he is working so hard for you right now. He is trying his best to get these takedowns. Unbelievable. He's been shooting. He's been going to the body lock. He's tried. He went for a knee tap. He's going. Bisping is on screen saying crazy pace for 2 big guys. I agree. They have been fighting at a pretty high pace. They credited him with 1 takedown. Let's go! Let's go! That's so critical, dude. That's so critical. I'm so glad. That was literally the first thing I mentioned in the betting strategy guide. Let's go. All right, hold on. I'm changing the font up. Now I got the fights on one part of my screen, and I got the betting strategy guide and the stream on other parts of my screen. We are absolutely dialed right now. I will say Hines is doing his best work in this 3rd round. He's throwing to the body. He's getting after it, man. His cardio cannot be questioned. This is a guy who really showed up on short notice, ready to fight, and he's actually started damaging the face of Denise. Oh, Denise called an eye poke. Guys, Denise just called an eye poke. I don't know about that. I thought that was a punch, man. I could be wrong, though. Let's see the replay. Man, Denise was finally starting to get busted up here. That was an eye poke 100%. I apologize. Denise just got a freaking Captain Insano to the eye. So apologies to Denise. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Oh my goodness. That was absolutely brutal. All right, let's get to the navigation document. We're doing everything, guys. We're multitasking right now. And we are flying. Man, this is so unfortunate. The pace of that fight was awesome. And now it's been grinded to an absolute halt because our guy Denise is not feeling so good. Is he about to pull a Romanov? I don't know. That was insane. I did not watch the fight, but I did see the aftermath to my guy Dixon. I did see the nut shot to stretcher. That is not a combination I wish on any man, not my worst enemy. Lambasaurus said 6 of 7. Did they give him 1? I think they gave him 1, guys. Let me go to UFC stats. I do not want to give you guys any misinformation here on the air. They credited him with a takedown. That's unreal. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. They credited him with the takedown. All right, here we go. Here we go, folks. Let's go ahead and share this on screen. I am so happy with this. The betting strategy guide is off to a lightning hot start. Point number 1, I don't think Hines can win this fight consistently without takedowns. Can't project he will get many, but I think he could get 1 even if he loses. Denise has conceded 4 takedowns in 3 UFC fights, at least 1 in 3 out of 3 fights, plus 165 on Caesars. Cash it. Nicely done. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody who got in on that, congratulations. Should have absolutely slamburied that. Hines, the absolute operator. Denise just hit him with a big check left, excuse me. Also, we still are on the verge of a potential Denise cash here. I mentioned that, if you wanted to buy down on chalk, you get the minus 165 KO. But I also mentioned the plus 500 decision prop, which was on Bet Online. Bet Online is normally very sharp on props, and they moved against Denise's decision all week. I think you're just seeing that this guy Hines is freaking ungodly tough. He's taken, what would normally be fight-ending blows and just kept moving forward over and over. And he's still shooting for takedowns, guys. This guy's cardio is very good. Shout out to my guy, Narco Cop, who mentioned how good his cardio and toughness and durability was. Man, he was not fibbing. Those are all true facts. The second round finish did not come through at plus 400, though. That's disgusting, man. It looked imminent after 1 round. I guess Hines is just used to getting a certain amount of swelling on his face. Keep moving forward. Whoo! He just sent him flying again. Hines is coming on, man. Oh, Denise, big left hand. He answers back. This has been an action scrap, As far as fights that go the distance, I feel like both guys have tried to finish each other, Like you're seeing Hines throw with everything he's got. He just doesn't have enough to put Denise away or really hurt him. And meanwhile, Denise has rearranged this guy's face, and it just hasn't been enough. I think Hines is finally getting ahead on the significant strike count here in round 3. So again, to get your face mashed into hamburger meat in the first 2, to get your calf kicked apart, and then come out and, land 20 plus significant strikes in the 3rd round on short notice, Hines deserves another opportunity and a round of applause. So hats off to him. I am having a little sip here, guys, a little drink. If you guys are having a drink with me, God bless you. Whatever you're having. Normally, I'm having a nice coffee on my shows, but today we're sitting back, we're relaxing a little bit, having a nice fight companion stream. So I'm having what would you even call this? A vodka ginger, I think would be the expression. So cheers to that. It goes the distance in the end. The 2 big men. I think the eye poke might have helped, but my guy Cam hit the name on the head right here. For a heavyweight decision, it's about as good as it can be. Couldn't agree more. Those 2 guys left it all on the line. Denise just tried the Trevor Peak standing hammer fist. Oh, goodness. This was an indictment on Denise. The TKO, not the TKO here, was a travesty. I get what you're saying, but man, he literally hit this guy with a couple of shots that if the guy had a neck, he would have snapped his head back. But, Hines just doesn't have much of a neck, and it seemed like Hines was here to fight like to the death. You know what I mean? Like he was not going down unless he was fully unconscious. So did he win this fight? No, he did not. But is he going to get some fans and, get another opportunity because of this? Yes, he is. So that's the way I see it, man. What a fight. Those two guys absolutely banged it out. I think I'm 99% sure. 99% sure they credited the takedown. I'll have to double check here on UFC stats. Make sure they didn't take it away like it's NBA or something. You guys know how that can go. As of right now on UFC stats, they've got the takedown listed. 5 seconds of control. That's awesome. Curtis in the chat had the over 1.5 minus 120. Nicely done. Nicely done. Wow. I'll go back to the document here for a second. Yeah, Denise gets the win. Unanimous decision. No surprise to me there. If you look here, prop angles. If you love Denise, want to buy down on chalk, you get the KO. If you think Guzzi's durability will translate at the UFC level, BetOnline has decision plus 500. Domestics like FanDuel and DraftKings were actually sharper on this one, guys. They had the decision prop all the way down in the plus 300. So plus 500 over here on BetOnline, one of the sharpest outfits out. And then meanwhile, a lot of these domestic books, they were undercutting it, plus 300s, and they were right on this one. So hats off to the domestics. ScamDuel and DraftKings got the job done there. And, man, that was it. So now we'll move on to this next fight, guys. Money line, I said, is a pass here, right? When you have a guy like Jacoby Smith and he's priced, minus 2,500, that's what I call banana peel pricing in the UFC. You never know if a guy's going to get injured, just random things like that. But I do think that this is a absolute setup fight. When you look at a guy like Jacoby, he's a physical, dynamic athlete, very, very good wrestling, power in his hands. I think that if he needed to, he could wrestle Nico Price into, a hole for 15 minutes. But I think that what he's going to do in this fight is brutally knock out Nico Price, probably in the first 30 seconds. And again, am I very bullish on a guy like Jacoby Smith? I am. The reason being, he's very fast. He's very dynamic. He's very aggressive. He wants to hurt people. There's a lot of wrestlers. And I would even count myself among them. I'm not really interested in hurting people, That's not what I'm looking to do in life, right? I am a person that I'll go do jiu-jitsu, but I'm looking for chokes, I'm not trying to hurt nobody, right? Like, I'm not looking to get a heel hook and, rip your leg apart. It's just not who I am, like, at the end of the day. But there's some people, they just don't have that, they don't mind, right? Like, it's all good. And I love watching fighting, so I understand it. I'm looking for guys that are willing to do damage. You know what I mean? And a guy like Jacoby Smith, you watch that fight he had on Contender Series where he basically is in a rear waist cinch, a classic wrestling position where a lot of guys, get booed by the crowd. Oh, he's stalling, he's holding on. What does he do from there? He lifts up, puts all of his weight into one knee and drops all of his weight into the guy's knee and blows his knee completely out from under him. That's mean, right? But that's fighting. Like, at the end of the day, he's trying to hurt people. He's trying to do what it takes to do damage inside the octagon. They're trying to rewrite the rules right now, of the MMA unified rules to basically make it extremely clear that the number one criteria is damage. And for me, I think that Jacoby Smith is in the prime of his athletic life and career, and I think Nico Price is on the wrong side of that. So for me, Nico Price 5 years ago maybe gives him a real competition here. But I think Nico Price is drawing dead to the KO here, guys. I will go ahead and show on screen again the betting strategy guide, and I'll talk you through what my thoughts are here. I basically think if he's drawing dead to the KO, the KO is I think plus 3,000 for Nico Price. So do I think it's going to happen? No, I think he's going to get viciously knocked out for all the reasons that I said. But when I look at, how would he win? Nico Price has always had like sneaky, weird power. If you look at his fighting style, if you watch back the Randy Brown fight, for example, I think the James Vick fight, he ended one of those with an up kick from his back. He ended the other one with hammer fists off his back. So Nico Price kind of has weird power in weird positions, but ultimately, I think that what's going to happen here is that Jacoby Smith is going to do whatever he wants. It's funny because the one takedown prop for Jacoby Smith is minus 175 on FanDuel. And I honestly don't know if it's going to hit here. When I think about Jacoby Smith's approach to this fight, he might not even attempt any takedowns. He might just go out there and look for big hands on the feet. But that being said, when he went for takedowns on Contender Series, they were free 99. It was as easy as he wanted. He got 7 of them on Christian Savoy and ended the fight in the second round. So I think that Jacoby Smith, it's his world. I think he could win this fight a lot of different ways. And that's why, instead of laying a minus 175 on him to get one takedown, I would rather have the plus money, like plus 150 on the over 1.5, and say, hey, if he's going to wrestle, let's assume that Nico Price maybe could get back to his feet one time and get mat returned or something like that, rather than hope and pray, lay a large amount of chalk on the minus 175, that he gets one takedown and then he never even attempts a takedown, So that for me is how I'm considering this fight. Nico Price is walking out. He looks like he's got the energy. He looks like a guy who wants to be here, but boy, don't love it. Smith and under 780 seconds on DK. Oh, no. That's never what I'm looking for, buddy, but I appreciate you. I think that you can find, Jacoby Smith round 1 at minus 145 on Fanatics. I think I mentioned in my breakdown. That beats a lot of the market, which is in the minus 160 range. I think one note from this fight, the decision prop on Jacoby Smith, I don't expect this to go to decision, but I did mention I think he could wrestle to a decision if he needed to, / wanted to here. And it's plus 850 for the decision. It's only plus 400 or something for the submission. And I've never seen Jacoby Smith attempt a submission from memory in a mixed martial arts fight. I know that with 6 minutes of control against Christian Savoy on Contender Series, he did not attempt a single submission. So when I look at like guys that can submit Nico Price, I really think Jacoby Smith would not have a lot of success, in a pure grappling attempt. Like, could he do it? Sure. I just don't expect it from him at all. I mentioned how violent he is as a fighter. He's looking for strikes. He's looking to damage people. And I don't think that a guy like Nico Price takes damage very well, but I don't think he's like a piss poor grappler that he'd easily submit either. So that for me is just like kind of a weird pricing disparity. I think more often than not, it's Jacoby Smith by knockout, but that's priced at minus 250, a lot of people aren't looking to lay that. Honestly, I think it could represent value, but it's the kind of fight where if his true money line price is minus 2,000, then I do think that the KO is value at minus 270 because I would put it at about 80%, but it's still a fight where when you get to that kind of pricing, I always think it's mixed martial arts. I've seen crazy shit happen before, but we got both guys inside the cage and we will bring it right back to our commentary. Bruce Buffer's in there looking snazzy as ever. Jacoby Smith, one of the hottest prospects in the UFC. Guys, a couple days ago, he was set to go off as the biggest favorite in UFC history. Right now on the broadcast, they are announcing the biggest favorite in UFC history, minus 2,500, Jacoby Kobe Smith. Three-time All-American at Oklahoma State University, Pac-12 champion, or Big 12 champion, excuse me. What am I saying? Really impressive guy. Impressive wrestling. Did I see Buffer's ring? Did I see Buffer's ring? I didn't. I'll have to look out for it next time. Buffer's a baller, man. You got to know that. Kobe, most significant strikes and to win by KO, minus 150 on 365. Not too shabby. I agree with you. Although the KO, I agree with you. That's not bad. Wow, somebody on Patreon said they could have given the win to Hines. I don't know about all that. I thought he clearly lost the first 2 rounds, but round 3 I did think was interesting. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Oh, Jacoby Smith might have hurt him already. Oh, my goodness. Jacoby Smith goes for the takedown. Hey, there's that free minus 175. Jacoby Smith is all over him, guys. Oh, this looks like a man against a boy, and it's crazy because Jacoby Smith is the younger man. Nico Price is looking to angle off for an armbar here, but right now he's getting smashed to bits. Jacoby Smith is on top of him in the full guard, 4:21 on the clock. Blaze it. Nico Price is about to get smoked unless he's able to close down this distance right here. That was not the start to the fight that Nico Price was looking for, I can tell you that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my. Jacoby Smith is on top in the full guard. You're seeing Nico try and be active off his back. He's taking some damage here. Jacoby's being safe, staying solid, looking for shots. Yeah, Cole said like a bat out of hell. Sheesh. Yeah, he came out ready to go, super aggressive. That's what Jacoby Smith is, man. He's a competitor. He's a very aggressive guy. He's a very violent guy. He came out, got after him with big strikes on the feet, and then went to his wrestling. And now you're seeing a lot of hip inversions from Nico Price, but passing the guard is Jacoby Smith. Oh, Jacoby Smith with a huge hammer fist. Oh, Jacoby Smith, another one. Nico Price is in trouble. Nico Price has been hit with a lot of big shots already in this fight. Nico Price is looking for a Kimura trap entry. I don't think he has it, but he is looking for it. He's looking to invert here. He's looking to go crazy with this jiu-jitsu. Hats off to him for at least being aggressive, but another big elbow from Jacoby Smith. You are seeing a huge amount of physicality in this fight. Oh, my goodness. I was surprised with Smith's over-under takedowns at 1.5. Does it get to a second? Does Nico get up? Should have slammed the under on that. I still think there could be another, but we'll have to see. Busted him open. Yeah, he's beating him like a drum. Jacoby Smith is now riding from wrist control. This is a wrestler, guys. This is a wrestler in mixed martial arts showing his skill set. Look at how he is riding from the wrist. This opens up ground and pound opportunities. Beautiful fighting technique on display from Jacoby Smith. Smith is looking to step over with an instep here. Now he's looking for short ground and pound shots. Crimson mask for Nico Price. Price might get up right here. Jacoby is kind of weighing on him heavily, but he's giving him just enough space that Nico could be able to use this 2-on-1 grip to get up. Nice job getting the boot in. Jacoby Smith, he's looking very sound right now. Shout out to Stimmy in the chat. Shout out to Cole in the chat. We got a lot of great OGs with us. Oh, wow. Oh, no, Nico Price might have put himself in a sub for a second. They're back up on the feet. Jacoby Smith landed a big right hand. They're laughing and smiling to each other. That's funny, man. Jacoby Smith just put an absolute beatdown on this man. Let's see what happens here. About 90 seconds left in the round. Nico finds a jab. Let's see if Jacoby Smith goes back to the wrestling. I think he might cash that over 1.5 in this first round here. Jacoby Smith takes a breath. That was a decent right hand by Nico Price. Jacoby Smith may have spent a little bit of too much energy, but I don't think so. I think he can recompose himself here. He's been the decision multiple times in his professional MMA career, but he definitely has slowed down a little bit in pace. He went hard looking for that finish early. Nice jab, though, man. He hurt Nico again. Wow. Nico sticks his tongue out, though. Good Lord. You just see the horsepower difference between these two guys. Jacoby Smith, when he lands, he is hurting Nico and busting him up, cutting the face. Another big shot. Jab lands, right hand, another left. Jacoby Smith looks tired and he's still walking him down and beating his ass. That's the truth of the matter. Nice left outside kick. You're seeing Nico try and throw some feints out there to get some respect. You're seeing Jacoby take some breaths here to recompose. I think he knows, hey, we're going to see a second round. Nice overhand right. Kick up the middle. Nico just found a right hand. Much more competitive to end that round. Oh, left hand at the buzzer. Oh, and a high kick. crazy fight. Dude, Jacoby Smith almost knocked him out again right at the buzzer. He hurt him. He hit him with a big left hand. He had him turned around. He hit him with a head kick. Both guys look absolutely exhausted after the first round. They just beat each other up a little bit, but Nico Price took a lot of damage in that round. I think Jacoby Smith got tired, and I think that Nico Price took a lot of damage in that round. You're seeing some huffing and puffing from Nico too, though. I honestly think both guys just spent an insane amount of energy. Nico spent a lot of energy surviving, and Jacoby Smith spent a lot of energy trying to kill. Wow, that left hand from Jacoby Smith has been lightning. That takedown was absolutely dominant. Nico Price tried to cheat, tried to grab the top of the cage, and he couldn't. Over under on body fat percentage, I'm going under 10. I'm going under 10 for sure. Let's go conservative estimate under 10. Dude, he landed that high kick at the bell. Oh, my goodness. Jacoby Smith was on fire in round one. Wow. Jacoby Smith, man. I got to plug my computer and give me 2 seconds. All right, here we go. Charger is in. We got Renaya in the chat says, Jacoby looks average to me, nothing special at all. Well, first of all, he's an extremely athletic guy. He's got very good wrestling. He's got extremely dangerous ground and pound, and he's got power on the feet. So I think that those are all great attributes. But that being said, he still has a lot to prove, no doubt about it. He's still extremely young in his career. So he's learning on the job, and Nico Price has almost 20 UFC fights under his belt. So this is going to be a test of the young man, but we're going to find out what he's made of right now. Nico improved the odds to plus 600. That makes sense to me because he didn't die in the first round, His chances to win are always going to be better when he's alive in round two, right? Let's see if Jacoby goes for another takedown. No, nice knee to the body, but Nico just landed a couple shots of his own. Man, this ESPN broadcast is so bad. It just cut me back like 5 seconds. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I mean, if you look at, okay, so first of all, he just cashed the over on takedowns. So there you go, over 1.5 takedowns. He nearly finished him multiple times in the first round, right? So if you are to say, like, am I high on Jacoby? Yeah, I am high on Jacoby. Because at 10 fights into his UFC career, he's fighting 20-fight UFC veterans and dominating. So his cardio is not impressive. I don't think we could judge that yet, right? Did he look like he was feeling great in the first round? No, but he had spent multiple efforts trying to finish his opponent. If you guys have ever done, competitive grappling, let's say, if you try and go for a submission, you then sometimes have to take a couple breaths and recover before you go for another attack, right? You spend energy and then you have to recover. You have to choose how to spend it, right? So when Jacoby goes out there, if he had spent his energy such that he comes out in round two and gets instantly finished, I would agree with you guys. But what has he done? He's gotten back to a dominant position, and he still, to me, looks like he's in total control of the fight. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a kid who's young and learning on the job, but he's also doing a good job. Nico Price has way more experience with jiu-jitsu than Jacoby Smith, but Jacoby Smith is using basics, physicality, athleticism, and ground and pound to make these positions count. He's using his wrestling to stay on top. So am I saying that this is a, Jacoby Smith, write it all in stone, like send him to the moon? No, he still has to prove a little bit more over time. He's got to beat better guys, but this is a test, right? When you give a guy that's proven a lot, a test on paper, they don't always get odds that are appropriate. Raoni Barcelos was a test for Peyton Talbot, right? But at the time, Peyton Talbot was minus 1,800 because the hype was very high. The hype on Jacoby Smith is high, but this is still a test. That's my true opinion. This fight really about to go to decision, Liam. It might. I did mention I was way higher on the Jacoby Smith decision than the submission at the price. And if you look, has he attempted many submissions in this fight? No. Also, though, I will say, go back to the takedown prop that I mentioned. I said I thought if he got one, he'd probably get two. And now he got one. When you start wrestling somebody, it's more energy than punching with them on the feet. So I think Jacoby Smith could have knocked this guy out on the feet, but he decided to wrestle with him. He decided to get into some scrambles. And when you're a wrestler, guys, the only thing you're afraid of when you're on top of somebody is that they'll submit you from the bottom. Oh, wow, he's going for the choke now. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? And he tapped. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. That's the first time that he's ever gone for a sub that I've ever seen. Wow. He made me eat crow. Hats off to him. Hats off to him. Jacoby Smith, an opportunistic submission like he was looking to win the Mundials. Cole said it best. That's MMA, baby. Hilarious. Hilarious. He literally saw one opportunity for 1 second, and it was over. Nicely done. Man, and I just got to say, he made me eat my words. Odds makers, hats off to you. You were right. It was always the sub. It was always the sub. Oh, that's disgusting. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I will say, I'm sure that he had to have scored pretty high on DraftKings tonight. He had multiple takedowns, knockdowns, beat him up. Or actually, I don't know if he ended up getting an official knockdown, but he definitely busted him all over the place. So a lot of ground and pound, and then the submission to top it all off. I think he was being nice to Nico. Yeah, I tend to agree, man. This is a sign Topuria is going to sub Charles. It just might be. Oh, that's disgusting. It really is. It really is disgusting. That decision looked free at plus 850 too. He could have just stayed on top for an eternity. Oh, my gosh. Hats off to him. Hats off to him. Yeah, and guys, coming into this fight, Nico Price had a 52% takedown defense, so no surprise that Jacoby Smith went and exploited that, but first career submission. I'm normally good at calling somebody's first career submission as well, so I'm disappointed in myself, but I gotta say, the price is just foul, you know? Plus 400 for a guy who's never gotten a sub. When I bet Thomas Peterson to get his first career submission, it was plus 1,100, plus 1,200, you know? Vitor Petrino was the same, like similar price, you know? To get plus 400 on it, it's just disgusting, but hats off to him. Hats off to him. And I always talk about don't get greedy, take the ITD. But in this case, the ITD was like minus 500 or something. So they really made you pick a method in this one, price you out. So hats off to the bookmaker. And damn, Nico Price is really just he's been having a really tough go of it lately. You know, a lot of fights in the UFC. Nice guy, tries hard every time, but not so good. Tonight is the night RoboCop gets the sub, says Dixon. That's funny. I would be surprised, but hey, let's see. Jack Hermanson has definitely submitted better guys in the UFC. Jacoby Smith, I will say though, if he can learn to have a dangerous submission game, he looked safe on top for the most part. I never thought that there was like a deep angle on any of those arm attempts from Nico Price. So he did a level good job there, right? Would I say that his stock rose? No, I would say that his stock at best stayed level there, but he did what he was supposed to do, right? He goes out there, he dominates the first round. He looked like he was slowing down a little bit after one, came back out in round two, recovered, ready to rumble, gets to his positions, and finishes the fight. Nothing more that you can ask for from that. Whoa! Did they reorder the bouts, guys? We've got RoboCop and Jack up next. Wow, on Tapology. Oh, no, that's the featured prelim. That's the featured prelim. Okay, I was going to say on Tapology, that was the featured prelim. That makes more sense. They're showing early previews for that. Hey, the wrestling journalists are quoting some of my stuff about Jacoby Smith being a big favorite. That's interesting. Well, Dixon, you're saying crazy stuff happening. What about Jack Hermanson by sub at 19-1? That'd be pretty crazy, don't you think? I've been kicking back and forth in my head all week whether or not Jack Hermanson was the play. But how many fights until Jacoby faces somebody in the top 15? I would say after that Nico Price fight, one more. I think one more before he faces anybody in the top 15 minimum. And the reason I say that is just because they might want to see, if they give him a really durable guy, how that goes. Like, hey, let's test this guy over 15 minutes, see what his game plan is like over 15, how he fights there. And if he's able to put away that durable guy, great. Then we know his finishing translates at the next level. But if not, before we push him into prime time, just like, again, Peyton Talbot, I think is a great point of comparison, right? A guy that they were high on, a guy that's got great athletic intangibles, but needed to be tested. They gave him a tough test and it wasn't there that night. Okay, now we'll send him back and we'll see how it goes, right? You give people time to develop. So I think that for a guy like Jacoby Smith, he's still young. He's still explosive, dynamic, in the prime of his career. You want to make sure that you build him up the right way. And Nico Price was a logical next step in a lot of ways, right? Because he's got the experience, he's got a name, but he's a little bit past his sell-by date. Now I think they'll give him somebody a little bit closer to an age parallel, right? Maybe not the same age, right? But we'll see, maybe somebody in their early 30s, let's say, that's in a great spot, feeling good, feeling excited to go out there and try and win it. And that will be something that gives us more answers about really where Jacoby Smith's at, maybe another wrestler as well, somebody that can stuff some takedowns, see how he handles it on the feet. I'd have to look at the rankings and or, the top 25 type rankings, top 30 type rankings to get a feel for exactly who that should be. But that seems like the logical next step for him. Yo, McKinney, round one time for my guy Monotone Betting. Let's go ahead and talk about this next fight, guys. I will show my screen. Give me 2 seconds here. Okay. So now we're going to show the betting strategy guide. My guy says, how many super chats for a shoey? 10 of any kind, my brother. 10 of any kind. I got the shoe right here. We got one on standby. I'm ready. Dixon. Appreciate you, G. And I'm having a little vodka ginger as we speak. We got a little glass of the brew. We are absolutely dialed and locked in for this whole prelim card with you guys. If you don't mind, drop a like on the stream. That's a really easy way to show love and support and help other people find the stream as well. So I truly appreciate it. But without further ado, guys, let's show you this betting strategy guide for the next fight on the card. This one, of course, is going down in the lightweight division. We have the front-loaded T-Rex Terrence McKinney against the long overrated, but now, has kind of been exposed a little bit, Slava Borshev. And when we're looking at Slava Borshev, I think that the best bet maybe I ever placed in my life was Chase Hooper plus 123 against Slava Borshev. Knocked him down on the feet, followed him to the ground, assaulted him with ground and pound, got the finish with the choke. I think that when you look at Slava, he's incredibly tough. He is a guy that doesn't have the best durability that I've ever seen. He's been in a lot of striking fights in his life. He was a striking coach, I think, for a while at Team Alpha Male as well. So he's one of these guys that's kind of been, a mainstay in the gym. And he's, because of that, been the grappling dummy for a lot of guys, right? Like he has good striking, but he's not a very good grappler. His grappling is mostly defensive, survival instinct based. I don't even think he got tapped, truthfully, by Chase, right? I bet Chase there. I think Chase, you give him more time. Chase has elite cardio. He knows how to finish people from the top. I think he would have finished Slava eventually, but the ref kind of jumped in a little bit prematurely there. Slava will make you choke him unconscious, right? Like he's not giving it to you because you got it, right? He's not doing the Nico Price, with all due respect right there, right? Nico Price, he was in that choke, and that was a finished choke, right? You're not saying, hey, Nico, you should have went out there. It is what it is. But there's some guys that unless you put them all the way to sleep, Michael Bisping, right? Think about that GSP choke. He's reaching forward in the air, trying to fight hands and do everything, and he goes all the way to sleep. That's what some guys are like. And I think that Slava's like that. I think that Slava is more than happy to get in these positions where, you try and choke Slava, and you've got to put him all the way out. I know Kenley St. Louis had him in a rear naked choke attempt. He was able to peel hands, get his way back out of it. So I just think to myself, Slava, he's one of these guys that will go push for, his opportunities in round 2 and 3 if you leave him around. You look at Nazim Sadikov and the run that he's been on, right? He had that draw with Slava because Slava hurt him bad. And then Slava got hurt bad. It was a crazy back and forth war. And you just saw no quit in Slava, You really got to kill this man. So as far as I'm concerned, guys, the way I'm looking at this is a few different ways. Number one, I mentioned right off the rip in my breakdown, McKinney is minus 250, best available price to get a takedown. So for me, that doesn't really correlate with the fact that his subline's moving in the opposite direction. If you look at just what these guys have accomplished, like who's their best wins, I think that you could definitely make a case that the guy with better quality work is Terrence McKinney. The best win on the record of Slava Borshev is Chris Duncan, when Chris Duncan was an undefeated fighter back in 2021. When he knocked him out, I think that was his best win by a lot, right? Like the Yantop win, okay. Mahashate, all right. The Nazim draw is another fine performance, but lost to Tom Nolan, good prospect. Lost to Chase Hooper, good prospect. Lost to Mike Davis, sound fighter, good fighter, very athletic. Lost to Mark Diakese. I was there for that. It was an absolute stinker of the year type fight. So when I look at like the different ways that I could see this fight playing out, I think that the early portion of the fight should go to McKinney. If he's minus 250 to get a takedown, that means he should be in the top position where he tapped Perez Zion, right? Which is a win that's aged very well. He went out there and knocked out Matt Frevola in 7 seconds. Matt Frevola being a guy who's had like a 10-fight UFC career and gone 500, losing to guys like Arman Sarukian and Benoit Saint-Denis, So I just think to myself, like, I could see the clear case for either one of these guys. You see plus 155 round 1 McKinney on Fanatics. That was an outlier price. Most of the market, you're looking plus 130s. You look at round 2 on DraftKings plus 800. McKinney is a guy that's basically been round 1 or round 2, and that's it. I think he's seen round 3, once in his career, if my memory serves. Right, the guy had never been to decision. So can it happen? Like anything can happen. It's MMA. My guy Dixon was talking about before, things could go differently, right? Like it's a crazy night in MMA, right? Jacoby Smith, first career sub. So anything is possible in any given fight. But when I'm looking at how this fight could be different, right? If Slava is super tough on bottom and McKinney gets to his top positions but can't finish, I guess it is possible he could get to a decision here. Somebody mentioned, I think it's Nate Latshaw, his breakdowns of the divisions, right? Like over time, what rate did the divisions see the scorecards? And the lightweight division, it's like 50% of these fights go to the scorecards, It's like a 50-50 proposition. And yet in this fight, it's plus 500 for this fight to go the distance. Everybody's expecting this one's going to end violently. This one's going to end, viciously in the first round. And it just doesn't always go like that, right? Sometimes guys are more tentative. Obviously, with a guy like McKinney, it's been a 100% trend throughout his career. So, like, you have to eventually say, like, you are what the record says you are. But when you're talking about plus 500s and plus 1500s, which is the goes to decision and the McKinney decision, I did at least think about that. I mentioned that a little bit in the document. The plus 500 line on the goes to decision. The draw is plus 8,000. We got a guy in Slava who's gone to a draw before. I know Art, Mr. Electrocute, if you guys don't know him on Twitter, very sharp guy, very winning gambler, same game parlays and very unique ways to approach the sport of MMA. He does a lot of analytics and stats and stuff. So he pointed out the fact that you've got two guys with 10-8 round potential in this fight, in my opinion, and, a draw is 80-1. So you don't have to get it right at a very high clip to be profitable in those kind of fights. So my guy Justice in the chat says, I got over 1.5 parlayed with the previous fight over 1.5. Well, then I'm absolutely rooting for you. looking forward to seeing how this shakes out for you. But man, it's gonna be a tricky one because McKinney is all action, man. He gets after it, and I've faded McKinney a couple times. You know, I had Ismail Bonfim. I actually had Bonfim via KO in round 2, and you're looking at a guy like Slava who, again, I do think has a clear cardio edge in this fight based on the knowns. Right? Could it be different if McKinney changes his training and whatever? But based on the knowns, Slava round 2 and round 3, 700, 2,200. Like, I don't think that's horrible. I think if I liked the Slava side, though, I would be trying to buy him after 2.5 minutes. I'd be trying to buy him at the end of round 1 and avoid a lot of the McKinney equity because McKinney is such a proven threat early on. Even guys that he's lost to, like Drew Dober, he went out there and hurt him in the first round, had a lot of success, and then tapered off, right? So I just think that you want to be careful with a guy like Slava in this fight because he could just get absolutely dominated. You know, I don't think his chin's that great, and I think he gives up easy takedowns. So if those two factors combine, you know, that could lead to an easy night at the office for McKinney. But Slava's price would only improve if McKinney's having success early, and that could open up some leverage for you, you know. I don't think that the fights are back yet. So if we get the fights back on screen at any point, y'all got to tell me in the chat so I make sure I'm not over here yapping when the fights are supposed to be going on. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys rocking with us. I see a lot of people filing into the chat. We got 46 people rocking with us live on YouTube. Hope that you guys are all enjoying the fight so far. Jacoby Smith finally got us off to the races with a finish. We had Jonathan Diniz and Albert Hines, I think it is, in that first fight of the night. Alvin Hines? Let me go back and check. I cannot disrespect this man after that performance. Alvin Hines went out there and put it on, took absolute schlubbings to the face and did not go down. Hit the like button, says my guy Dixon. I'd appreciate if you do. And cheers to each and every one of you guys. If this fight goes the full 15, who would you favor? Now, Landon, that's a great question. I would favor Terrence McKinney if the fight goes to full 15, very reluctantly, and I'll tell you exactly why. Slava Claus has power in his hands. He does a good job landing, but his takedown defense is so bad. I've seen him give up like 10 takedowns in person against Mark Diakese, and Terrence McKinney is a good wrestler. He's just a guy that gets tired over time. He was dominating Sean Woodson, I believe, in the Wrestling on Contender series before he got hit with a flying knee in round 2. So I think that when you get to, actually scrapping, right? And if McKinney's getting these easy takedowns and he doesn't get tired, I think that would be how this fight goes to decision, because I think Slava is really live in rounds 2 and 3. If McKinney's not getting takedowns, I think he will be tired and probably getting beat up on the feet. Interesting, though. Slava kind of looks like a little sullen and withdrawn, if I'm being honest with you guys, before this fight. Let's see how it turns out, though. Maybe he's just looking stoic and ready to rumble. But I just don't love, he kind of looks flat to me. What do you guys think? Am I crazy? Also, shout out to everybody in the chat who got me back on track. Let me know that the fights were coming on. Shout out to Landon for that great question. If anybody has questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and fire them in the chat. If I missed anything you guys have asked, please go ahead, fire again. I'm trying to get to everybody's comments and questions here. Ask old friends, Clint and Uncle Weezy, for a live companion. Sometimes it would be fun. Man, absolutely. They're always welcome. I'll tell you that. And my guy, Monotone as well. You're always welcome, brother. This is cool, Liam. Appreciate you, CJ. Trying to keep it fun for everybody. What I want to always do is never put something out for the sake of putting it out. Only put it out if I think it's going to be valuable, interesting. So when I have a great guest, I always do that. I truly enjoy doing live commentary. I believe that I have the skills to do live commentary as well. So Lord willing, you guys enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being here. So it's no other place I'd rather be to spend a fight night than with you guys, talking about the fights and hopefully finding some good betting angles along the way for you guys as well. So cheers, peace, love, chicken grease. We are underway for another one. Touch of the gloves, and let's do it. Spinning back kick from Slava Borshev off the bat. Nice low kick, and then a takedown from Terrence McKinney. Right away, Terrence McKinney cashes the minus 250 to get a takedown. Wow. Easy bread for Terrence, and now he's going for the sub. He's going for the sub right away. He might have this. This Darce attempt.
He's looking to squeeze hard. Slava's in all sorts of trouble. I think Terrence has him. I think this is over. I can't quite tell, though, guys. It's a weird angle for this Darce. Terrence's whole body is so close to him. Now they've angled off. Might be getting tighter. He's trying to adjust the grip. Slava's in deep, deep trouble. Slava's face is turning purple. He might go to sleep here. He's trying so desperately to get out. Slava's fighting so hard. Oh, he tapped. That's it. Wow. Terrence McKinney made it look easy. Round 1. He's a front runner. That's why you don't bet Slava till after 1. Whoo! Terrence. Ho! Come on. Man, my guy Monotone said it. Bet it and forget it. Easy breach. Easy breach. Yo, when you bet on Terrence McKinney and he wins, every time it feels like the easiest money of all time. It's got it, right? Because he only wins via first round, easy stoppage, man. Unbelievable. Nicely done. Great call on the sub, Liam. Should have listened. Just went with round 1. Hey, round 1 plus 150. Put the money in the bag. Who's better than you? Nobody. Put the money in the bag. Nicely done. Oh, Terrence McKinney said, Jacoby Smith, watch this. Guys, that was unbelievable. It's so hilarious, guys. Let's go back and revisit this because I thought it was so funny. The absolute first thing in my betting strategy guide noted here, McKinney is minus 250 to get a takedown, so a tiny bit surprising to see sub moving the opposite direction. He gets one takedown and then instantly subs him, bro. I thought. That's what I thought. I mean, oh, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. Man, what a tank. T-Rex forever a legend. No doubt. Yo, guys, also, can I just say, that Slava being, not too hyped to be there, yeah, that looked like that was true too, bro. Slava, for the first time, tapped, bro. Like, dude, I expected you to go to sleep, bro. That's your whole calling card. I will say, he let himself turn purple. He tried to kick out of there. He tried to do everything he could to get out, but oh my goodness. No, Dixon says my stream died. I missed the whole fight. I can give you the whole fight. Slava threw a spinning back kick. It was a beautiful spinning back kick at that. But then as soon as he did that, right, he then got taken down, right? He went for a low calf kick, caught the kick, takedown for Terrence McKinney. McKinney passes to north-south control. He starts instantly going for the Darce. He spins in. He gets very close to the hips. He then angles off to a more parallel position. Finish the fight. McKinney, and it was not close. That was the way it went, man. Yeah. Let's go to this quote from the document as well, guys. Neither guy durable, in my opinion. McKinney has a big wrestling and grappling edge. ABC say always bet on cardio. Slava better cardio than McKinney. You don't need cardio if it's a 60-second fight. I'll tell you that. Holy shit. Poor Slava Claus, bro. He just gave McKinney a gift. So there you go. Slava Claus, a great nickname. Oh, my. Let's see where we're at here. All right, guys, let's go to it. This was the preview article. We had Jonathan Diniz, KO 1-2. Unfortunately, right winner, wrong method for the first fight of the night. He ended up winning the unanimous decision there. I had Jacoby Smith defeats Nico Price via KO 1. Unfortunately, he almost finishes him in the first round. He finishes him with a choke in the second round. So, again, right winner, wrong method there. This one, guys, Terrence McKinney stoppage in round 1 or 2, or Slava stoppage in round 2 or 3. Kept it simple there. Went with the cardio dynamic, and this is the actual quote about Terrence McKinney. Terrence McKinney is the archetypal kill or be killed fighter. He has only seen the third round once in his 23-fight professional career. McKinney has never proven that he has gas tank to push for 15 minutes, and he often crumbles when extended or facing adversity. That being said, he has explosive offense, proven KO power, and a solid wrestling base. McKinney was dominating Nazim Sadikov in their early grappling exchanges. He nearly finished Drew Dober with strikes, and he flatlined Matt Frevola in 7 seconds. He has the offense to compete in the UFC, but his defense is a major liability. Guys, when people get too high on Terrence McKinney, you fade based on defense. But you also got to give him respect. He's got offense to take out anybody, period. What was the win inside 1 minute? Great question. I do not know it. That's a great question, though. We will have to see. hat is off right now to our guy, Terrence McKinney. Goes out there. He needed a big win. He got a big win. Easy. I had McKinney as my captain in DFS. Nicely done, Dixon. Nicely done. Very well played. Very well played, sir. Let's go ahead here. Oh, we got the ladies. We got ladies up next. Let's see here. We've got Vivian Araújo taking on Tracy Cortez. Y'all let me know what you're feeling about this one in the chat. Let's see here. I will also note, guys, I don't know that I ended up picking I don't think I mentioned it as like one of my DFS targets. I have to pick 2 of those for my Roto Grinders article every week. But if you look at the expert survey that we did, here, let me share this on the screen. So in the expert survey, I talked about looking at the Borshev and McKinney fight as a great fight to choose a piece from, right? Like an individual piece. And I think that if you have Terrence McKinney right now, especially in cash games, you're feeling pretty good, with that kind of score. And even for, the optimal tonight on the big takedowns, you're probably going to need McKinney exposure. So, man, hats off. I think a bunch of my colleagues had McKinney as one of their favorite plays as well. Really, really smart. You get into boxing at all, Liam, betting or otherwise? I would say that I'm definitely much more of a casual boxing fan than I am a hardcore boxing fan. I never purport to be something I'm not. If there's a big fight, I definitely watch. A heavyweight title fight, a name that you recognize, big household names. I have capped many celebrity boxing fights on this channel as well. Jake Paul and Ben Askren. By the way, prayers up for Ben Askren. If y'all don't know that story, Ben's in the hospital, waiting for a lung transplant, a double lung transplant. So prayers for Ben Askren on a very serious note. But yeah, in terms of boxing, I definitely, have looked into many Jake Paul fights. Jake Paul has been an absolute cash cow for me throughout the course of his career. People hating him has created a lot of financial opportunity. And so I think that when I look at, this modern landscape of boxing, I'm definitely a picky and choosy kind of guy, right? I'm not watching every single fight every single night. I don't know every guy in the top 10 like I do in the UFC. I know everybody that's basically on the roster, right? Much less a ranked fighter. And it's a lot different for me in boxing, right? I know the top guys, I know the big names, but I'm not a guy that watches every top rank, future stars card and everything like that. So, Liam, how is Jake Paul decision not free tonight? I do think it's Jake Paul decision tonight more often than not. I've definitely seen some, sports books pushing out the KO and stuff like that. And I even saw one thing I think that's interesting in that fight, or at least makes it trickier for me, is I have seen that Chavez has quit on the stool before. I'm not saying Jake Paul is like this world-class boxer or something, but like, could I see Chavez not really having an interest in being there and being there for the money? Yeah, 100%. So for me, that's the tricky thing about it. Somebody on Patreon earlier today asked me, Liam, what do you think about Jake Paul to get a knockdown at like plus 120 or whatever the price was? And I was like, honestly, I don't like that because I think it could be trappy. Number one, we know that he could quit on the stool. Number two, I think Jake Paul could win a decision. So those are the reasons why, I think that the decision could happen. I think the money line is free. Personally, I'm not going to be laying minus 650 to find out. There's been way better financial opportunities on Jake Paul. Look at that Mike Tyson price, for fuck's sake. I mean, one of the stupidest lines of all time. But that's something that I'm definitely considering. My guy says, how are you using your Scam Duel Jake Paul boost? There's a Scam Duel Jake Paul boost. I must have missed it, brother. What is it? You have to use it on a method, right? They want to make you pick. I'm sure that most people are going to end up picking the knockout. But man, it's always tricky betting on fixed fights, And I do think that Jake Paul probably fixes his fights, but that's a different conversation for a different day. I told my buddy before that Mike Tyson fight, one of my sharp friends, he was asking my opinion on the fight, and I had told him, I was like, dude, if it's a real fight, Jake Paul is minus 400, but if it's like I think he is, he's minus 10,000. It's like, worst case scenario, he should be minus 400. Like if it's real. he's minus 400. But if it's fake, then he's minus whatever price you want. Pick a price. He's minus that, T-Rex sub, let's go. Dude, it's so hilarious. The price kept moving against McKinney sub. The market, I will say, has not been very sharp on some of these props today. So very interesting. Let's see what else. This is a lotion fight, he said. Main card material. I absolutely agree with you, Monotone. McKinney should be on the main card. He's in fun action fights. Let's see. My guy Dixon says, Liam, are we feeling froggy to jump on Vivi split decision plus 900? Listen, here's what I'll say about this fight. Sometimes I think you can do paralysis by analysis. You can over analyze like the market and things like that. Shout out to Rich in the chat. Says, didn't know you were doing this. Good shit. Appreciate you, man. Liam, we got our guy Topuria, right? I am picking Topuria. But back to this women's fight before it comes up, right? When I'm looking at this matchup, if you just said to me, Liam, who wins it? I would say Tracy Cortez. If you said, who do I think the judges are more likely to be biased towards? The girl with, million plus on Instagram, third biggest social media following on the card, or, a girl who's in the back nine of her career. Again, a lot of signs point me to Tracy Cortez here. The only issue I have with the Tracy side in this fight is, I'm looking at a girl who normally goes out there and gets multiple takedowns, right? In all of her wins, except the Jasmine fight, I believe. And even that loss against Rose, she got 2 takedowns in all those fights. Vivi has like 80% takedown defense. She's only given up 2 takedowns to Amanda Hebos and Jennifer Maia. So I'm not confident that she's going to go out there and get multiple takedowns, right? So then I have to rely on her to go out there and win on the feet. And I do think that Tracy Cortez, frankly, can get takedowns here if she wants them. But I also think that she can win this fight on the feet with her boxing, right? She went out there and outlanded Jasmine Jasudavicius. It's one of the best wins on paper that like one of these girls has in the rankings, right? Like Jasmine has been running through just about everybody else, putting people on notice. And the girls that were able to get over on her, Natalia Silva and Tracy Cortez, have both won a lot of fights in the UFC. So when I'm looking at how does Vivi win this fight, I think she would probably either need some favorable judging, which I can't rule out because I'm seeing 80% of the money, 80% of the tickets on Tracy Cortez, and she's only being priced at 70%. So I'm seeing that, right? I'm watching the market. I understand that. But at the end of the day, I have to believe in a dog to bet them, right? And with Vivi Araujo, guys, I can tell you, she's been outlanded on significant strikes 7 fights in a row in the UFC. That's just shocking. Like, it's very infrequent for anybody, much less like a fighter that's a ranked fighter, and Vivi's getting up there in age. I've said before, she has like crazy moments in a lot of her fights, right? Like she throws up a big sub and like has an attempt and stuff, but she's never finishing subs in the UFC, right? She's not finished one yet in the UFC. And then her only stoppage of any kind in the UFC was her UFC debut against an 0-3 chick. So I just don't really know what I'm getting from her that I like as a dog at plus 180, except it's a close women's fight. It's like you can make the CF dot model. Shout out to Paul Shag and Cody. You can make that analogy anytime, right? And just say like, hey, it's a women's fight. I could see it being competitive. It could go to the judges' scorecards. The judges are crazy. It's in Vegas. All those things check for me, right? They all play. The problem is, I want to check multiple boxes, right? Like I want to know, like my fighter's going to go out there and land more strikes. I don't feel that here. I want to know my fighter's going to get the top position. I don't really feel that here. I want to know my fighter is going to be the much better grappler. Maybe slightly better. I don't think she's like good enough to finish it at a high clip. So it's like, where am I seeing the one specific, this is how she clearly gets it done. This is the easy path. I don't see it. So then I'm relying on the judges in a fight where she's the B-side in terms of popularity by a fucking country mile. Like nobody gives a shit about Vivi outside the hardcore community, all due respect. Tracy Cortez gets eyeballs and attention. So for me, these are all the things that make it so I'm just keeping my hands clean to this one. I'll talk to you guys about the betting strategy that I have for this fight, right? I make a betting strategy for just about every fight, because other people are interested in getting involved. I like to be a little bit more conservative with my approach, but everybody's got their own wave, right? If you look over, I'm going to share it on the screen right now. And this is the kind of thing where, I acknowledge Cortez is coming off a loss, struggled to finish UFC level opponents, right? Struggled to finish just opponents in general. Should not finish at a lot of women, period, point blank. And then the market does look sketchy. I acknowledge right here, right? 80% tickets and handles, 68% implied. Vivi is old, always gets outlanded on strikes, can be out wrestled, not a great finisher. So when I'm looking for ways I would play this fight, like if I had to get involved on a money line side, I would probably be taking Tracy Cortez and holding my nose, honestly. My guy in the chat says, I like Viv way better. I guess that makes me hardcore. Fair play. I totally get that. Like, I'm not even saying I dislike Viv, right? I'm just talking about some popularity dynamics, right? It's not always fair, but it's a business, right? Rooting for Vivi, I think Tracy probably wins. Yeah, I agree with you. I hope both these ladies get 2 takedowns each and go over in significant strikes. Got that all parlayed together for like plus 1,100. Very interesting, man. Because I know that Tracy's favored to get over 1.5 takedowns here. I did see that. I will note some of the things I thought were interesting. Cortez in rounds 2 and 3 is like over 30-1 in both of those. And like, I just think Vivi is probably going to get a little tired here. Jasmine basically has a brick for a head. I say respectfully, right? If she gets hit, she just keeps moving forward. Natalia Silva did a dance on her. She just kept moving forward. Tracy Cortez, over 100 significant strikes. She kept moving forward. So I just believe, Tracy has more avenues to winning. So that's kind of the way I see it. The Araujo props I really did not like. I guess the decision is like some of her win equity. It's like plus 3xx. I really, there's nothing that jumped out at me there. I did mention, though, people, I think, could get burnt buying down on Cortez decision. Why would you sacrifice 35 cents to get Cortez decision instead of going Cortez money line at minus 195 in case she finishes somehow? It's not like Vivi has never been in crazy fights. Like, she's had a lot of explosive fights that just went the distance anyway. So Bled says Cortez sub is 14-1. I know the KO is like 22-1. Honestly, like, I don't see either one as like being super preferenced above the other. A lot of times in WMMA, if they get somebody hurt, they end up finishing with the sub. We just saw Jacoby Smith do a ton of damage, goes with the sub, right? So ultimately, I think it's an interesting fight. We're going to learn a lot about both girls, but I don't know what to make of Vivi Araujo at this point, except to say that I don't think she has a very bright future, honestly. And I think Tracy Cortez has a good future in the sport. So that's the way I see it, man. But the other thing is Tracy Cortez has options, right? Vivi is doing this shit, right? Tracy has options. So she could always fuck off and just go be a, Instagram model or whatever she wants to do, outside of MMA, if she so chose, right? Which I don't think Vivi has that option. No disrespect. All right, guys, let's see here. We're on a commercial break. We have our angles already talked about for this fight. We got our guy Dixon saying that he has some pocket change on Vivi via Darce at plus 3,000, 30-1. Best of luck to you. I don't know. Does she have any on her record? She's got 4 wins by sub, and it was armbar, heel hook, and I can't see the other one. So, man, maybe you want to get a little bit of armbar and heel hook exposure. I'm just playing. Vivi came to MMA a bit late. That's fair. Natalia Silva is the Vivi that should or could have been if she started young. Interesting. I just think Natalia is so much more light on her feet and dynamic. Like, Vivi's a little bit more of that classic, like, Brazilian Muay Thai, a little bit heavier feet. And she's got some power, right? She has a knockout in her UFC debut, I mentioned. And she's got some decent submissions that she throws up from her back. But that's my problem with Vivi. It's like a lot of times she's throwing up offense from her back because she gets taken down. She could give up some minutes and control. She just has a couple big flaws that have been exploited. And the lack of volume, I think, is number one. She just does not land enough volume at this level. Vivi is the next Talia Santos on her way to PFL to boost Dakota Ditcheva. I could see it. I could see that. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. People are cashing in the Patreon chat, and they're also live with us on YouTube. That is awesome to hear. Thank you to all you guys for tuning in and supporting. Man, this has been a blast so far. Good fights, couple submissions as well. Got in the gym myself yesterday, was getting some great rolls in. So it is inspiring to see a couple of these early submissions. Now I know what I want to work at tomorrow at practice, get a couple of Darce chokes in for my guy Terrence McKinney. Emil Delgado is still on the prelims, going to be absolutely insane. You are totally right about that. And speaking of, why don't we at least give that a little bit of play? Right? So if we go here, let's give that a little bit of play, right? I think that there's a couple angles that you could look at here, right? Delgado decision is the most likely win method for him, listed on books. And I don't really know if I agree with that, right? Because if you look at Delgado, he's literally got a 100% finish rate. The one time he went to a decision, he lost. He fought Chris Makate. He got out wrestled. He got out hustled. It was not a competitive fight. It was 30-27 in my opinion. So when you look at how he's, basically being priced, a lot of the market had plus 3XX, low plus 3XX on his KO, and Fanatics was over 4-1. So for me, that kind of jumped out because if you watch Hyder Emil, Jiyoung Lee, they stood in the pocket and just exchanged until one man fell over. And if you're going to give guys that opportunity, you could eventually get put on the highlight reel yourself. On the other side, though, Hyder Emil, 4-0 in decisions, 2-0 in decisions at the UFC and Contender Series level. He beat William Gomis, who, in my opinion, is better than both of, the guys that Delgado's fought in UFC and Contender Series. So I got to give some credit to Hyder Emil. I picked him as a dog last time. He fights like a dog every time. So for me, he's the money line side or pass. I think he's the more proven guy. But Delgado's young, big. I think it's a case for either guy. I think it could look super violent, car crash type of fight. But Hyder Emil, so far, his durability's always checked out. So fuck yeah. And we're back, guys. We got the ladies fight. It's about to start. So we will take this off the screen. We will talk about the fact that Tracy Cortez is in there. She's got Santino DeFranco in her corner. She's a girl out of Fight Ready in Arizona. So very well prepared in terms of the wrestling. Typically, she's got pretty good boxing. Eddie Cha, the striking coach over there, cornered people like Henry Cejudo and similar. So Klyrunak has Emil by decision. And yeah, we tend to agree on that. I said in my article on Roto Grinders, either fighter via KO, either fighter inside the distance or Hyder Emil via decision, right? I think if it gets to the scorecards, the forward pressure, Hyder Emil's willingness to mix it up in all phases, his volume, his intensity, his pressure, his cardio is something that will carry him over 15 minutes. But a fight's a fight, right? And there's very good intercepting knees from Delgado. He's a big guy. So if he clips him on the chin, he clips him on the chin. I think either guy can clip each other. But I think if it does go the full 15, I agree with you. I think that Hyder Emil will just have done more. He's a little bit more experienced, and he's a finished product right now, whereas Delgado, in my humble opinion, is still a work in progress that will get much better over time. Tracy brought her eyelashes. Oh, shit. Tracy's got the eyelashes. You never know what's going to happen there. Tracy Cortez opening up with some low kicks. Vivi swinging with big overhand rights. Nice shot from Tracy and a knee to the body. Good punches from Vivi. Nice shot from Tracy Cortez, and she's got the first takedown. Easy for Tracy Cortez. Got to be careful of this guillotine, but I believe that she's quite hip to it. And she's going to actually look to a dominant position here. She's going to look to a dominant position. She might take the back right away, guys. She might take the back right away. Crazy scramble. She's looking to take the back. Vivi's looking to scramble on top. This is a fluid situation. Nobody is in control yet. Vivi is making a great scramble of this. Tracy's going to have to bail. Now she's looking for a guillotine. Wow. Great reversal by Viviane Araújo. That was beautiful. Tracy had a great takedown setup, but Vivi had an even better answer when they hit the ground. She scrambled. She did not allow the two hooks to get in. Now she's looking for a hook of her own. She's looking for a near side half Nelson to keep pressure on Tracy and make her weight go forward. This is a great start for the underdog, Viviane Araújo, as she's taking the back in the first round. Excellent job from Viviane Araújo. She is in the driver's seat right now with 3 minutes and 35 seconds left on the clock. Hat is off to the Brazilian. She is starting with fury and intensity right now. The most aggressive I've ever seen Viviane Araújo. She's looking to set up a rear naked strangle here. Man, ESPN's player is so bad, it's unbelievable, guys. They just have like times where I'm watching and then it blips back like 5 and 10 seconds. It's unbelievable. Nice job by Tracy Cortez to get a 2-on-1 grip. That could save her from this position. Good adjustment by Viviane Araújo. Look at this 2-on-1 grip, guys. That's very sound wrestling from the bottom position from Tracy Cortez. She might get back on top here. Wow. What a job by Tracy Cortez. Guys, that is actually how you wrestle. A lot of people, they grapple, they don't wrestle. Tracy Cortez got out-grappled in the first situation, no doubt about it. But then she out-wrestled her. 2-on-1 grip, pull it to the opposite side, pull them over the top. It used to happen to me on the wrestling mat when I was in high school, so I know it like the back of my hand, guys. That's a great way when somebody's trying to control you from turtle to get them off of you, even when they get the hooks in, right? If you can't get the arm, you can go for the head. If you can pull somebody over the top of you, they will have to release with their legs or they will be putting their back in a cruncher. So now Tracy Cortez is back on top. There's still 2 minutes left to work in this round. This has been a more action-packed fight than I think a lot of people expected already. Tracy Cortez is looking to set up a guillotine from the mounted position. She's got to be very careful here. One thing I always say is the guillotine gets a horrible rap sometimes in MMA because people don't know when or how to use it. And if you pull guard with the guillotine, I think it's foolish unless you have it fully locked up. What you want to use the guillotine for is what Karol Pravik talks about. You use it as a position where you can threaten somebody and use it to come on top. And now Tracy Cortez is trying to threaten with this guillotine and push to the top. Oh my, Tracy Cortez is looking to set up a short choke. This fight, intensity from these two ladies, man. They're swanging it out. But in the grappling, Tracy is looking for this short choke, guys. It's something that I go for all the time from the top position because even if you don't get it, it's very low risk. You don't give up the bottom position. Instead of guard pulling the guillotine, you go for short guillotines. You go for, a ninja choke. You go for a prayer grip. You just make them uncomfortable. So that way the next one is more likely to get them out of there. And I think that right there, you saw Vivi spend a ton of energy in those scrambles, in those exchanges. And I think Tracy Cortez might have more gas down the stretch as a result. Tracy is back on top. I think her ground and pound has been more effective in this round. I don't think Vivi focused on the ground and pound at all. I think she focused on trying to submit this girl, trying to have better jiu-jitsu. And Tracy Cortez is making it a fight. She's beating her up, and she's on top with 30 seconds left in the round, making a statement. Tracy Cortez has clearly come back to dominate this round, and now she's looking for a choke. Tracy Cortez is looking for a guillotine. Tracy Cortez is looking for a high elbow guillotine. She can't get the elbow over. She guard pulls it. That might have been a mistake, but she could have it. Vivi's in an uncomfortable spot. She might roll. The cage might save her. She's got leverage on the cage. 9 seconds left, but the choke is locked in. She's going to survive. Oh! Tracy Cortez. She said, what do you mean I don't have no finishes? I'm coming to play. Y'all remember when I said Tracy Cortez round 2, over 30-1, round 3, over 30-1? How are those looking now? How are those looking right now? I'm just saying. Tracy Cortez, y'all thought she didn't have that Mexican fighting spirit. Y'all must have forgot. Losing to Rose Namajunas, not as big an indictment as we thought, right? How many girls have gone out there and tried to beat Rose? A lot of them. How many have had a lot of success? Few of them, right? It's just the way it is. I'm not the biggest Rose fan out there, but you just got to give credit where it's due, right? Got to call a spade a spade. She keeps winning. She beat Miranda Maverick. She's got another win, right? Erin Blanchfield, close fight. Erin Blanchfield's good. Hats off to these women. These women came out to fight, man, but I think right there, Tracy Cortez kind of showed what time it was, Tracy Cortez was coming on. Cortez fighting like she doesn't want to lose that Jose Cuervo sponsorship. That's hilarious. Hey, just maybe. All right, let's see what happens here. Tracy Cortez had a great start there. We got 4:37, 36, 35 on the clock. If you guys are looking to line it up with me here. Tracy Cortez looking to get into her boxing flow. Vivi's holding the center. Not a ton of engagement here. I think these women are a lot better suited to fight on the ground. You know, they've had a lot of fun scrambles on the mat, interesting exchanges. I just don't know how much striking they really bring to the table in this matchup. Cortez certainly seems a lot more hesitant in this fight than she was against Jasmine in the boxing. I think she maybe respects the power a little bit coming back from Vivi after that first round. Vivi came after her with a lot of aggression. And we know Vivi's had some 5-round experience before. Tracy obviously coming off of a main event. I think that Tracy's corner should be, letting her know between rounds, hey, we got to get this fight to the ground by any means necessary because we are dominating there. I think that when you can see an athlete like Viviane Araújo make a great decision, get a great reversal, get to her favorite position on the back, and then lose it all and get dominated the rest of the round, that could really demoralize you. Nice spinning back elbow from Tracy Cortez. The only significant land of this round through the first about 90 seconds. Bit surprised she hasn't gone back to that takedown yet, but a nice jab from Cortez. Cortez is now operating behind the jab, and Vivi is just out of range. She's not coming close on her strikes right now. That was a decent right hand from Vivi. Finally closes the distance. Gets a head shake from Tracy. You see Santino DeFranco in the background. I'm sure he's yelling at her to wrestle right now. She's let about half this round go by without so much as an attempt. I think that's a huge mistake. Maybe Tracy's respecting that ground game after feeling those threats on the back in the first round, but I don't think that's wise at all. I think she was having so much more success there. She finally thought about a takedown attempt there. That was a decent idea, but didn't disguise it very well. Vivi was hip to it. See, this second round has actually been a lot closer. Nice kick to the body on the open side from Tracy Cortez. That was wisely done. Cortez, I think, has landed the better strikes, but optically she's moving backwards, which you don't always love when you're backing a fighter, right? So I don't have any money on her, but if I was betting on her, if I was in her corner, I'd be telling her, hey, optics, let's go forward. Let's push here. And a takedown could swing this round, especially, and just make it obvious that she's winning it. But right now, it's been a very close round. One punch could sway things, right? I think Tracy's done slightly better work, but she's been backed up for portions of the fight. Nice jab. Another jab. That one fell short. Yeah, Tracy, 25 significant strikes to just 9 for Araújo. That's what I'm saying about Vivi. Do you guys remember before the fight when I said she gets outlanded on significant strikes every fight? She's landed 9 through the first 9 minutes. So that's everything you need to know. Now a body lock from Tracy Cortez. Why it took her this long to go for it, I'll never understand. But I do think she's going to horse her over. She has a great angle on this body lock right now. Vivi is going for a head and arm throw. Just WMMA things. Now she switches back off, faces. Nice underhook here from Tracy Cortez. Again, if I was in Tracy's corner, I would have been telling her to do this from the outset. Push her into the fence, beat her up with the knees. Those are nice shots from Tracy. And then look for your takedowns along the fence line, right? Tracy goes for a right hand, now enters in on a double. Kind of a lazy double. She's got to be careful here where she puts her head. Guillotine attempt from Vivi, but her head's going to pop. Horrible attempt. See, guys, do you remember when I said you don't guard pull a guillotine like that? That was a disgusting attempt. Disgusting attempt. Nothing about it was proper. All due respect. All due respect. That was just a really bad attempt, guys. Really bad attempt. Tried to force something that wasn't there at all. Now she's looking for an armbar angle, so hats off to her. She's at least trying to do something here. But for me, the ending in the top position, the late ground and pound, again, that's a clear round, I think, for Tracy Cortez. I think she's up 2-0 pretty definitively for me. Somebody had said, too, like, I got money blowing a hole in my pocket. I'm going to the card. Who should I bet on? And I had basically said, like, I thought that Tracy was going to win this fight pretty easily. Like I was like, it's not my style of betting. That's not how I play it. But, I think Tracy was clearly the side. And, she's made a handful of mistakes in this fight, but I think she's been 10 steps ahead. I think right now it would take a real mistake from Tracy to lose this fight. We let the influencer narrative influence us. Not me, brother. I said Tracy unanimous decision. So she's well on her way to that as far as I'm concerned. And, if not, then the round 2 and 3 that I shouted out, I think are quite live here. And if Vivi gets the comeback, I'll take my hat off to her, right? Jacoby Smith already made me eat my words. I thought that decision was looking so free. But we'll have to see, man. We got 44 people rocking with us live. I want to just say, if you're enjoying the show, go ahead and drop a like. I really appreciate the support. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and get subscribed to the channel. Cheers to you guys, and we're back for round 3. 4:57, 56, 55 on the clock. Vivi's coming out swinging. Thinks she knows that she's down 2 rounds. My guy Dixon says props to Tracy. She looks solid. I agree with you. Tracy's looking good right now. Nice right hand from Tracy Cortez and a beautiful jab. She's looking sharper in this 3rd round to start in the striking. For whatever reason, she looked a little lethargic in the striking in round 2. Maybe that first round took a little bit out of her, but I think she seems to have recovered in between rounds here. Tracy's getting a little bit of pop on that jab now. Vivi's trying to stalk her. She's coming forward, but she's doing so little, right? She presents herself and just doesn't throw. Oh, that was a good kick up the middle, but she gives up a takedown. My ESPN glitched out after a nice front kick up the middle, and then it ended in a takedown for Tracy Cortez. Cortez is in an awkward leg entanglement here. As long as she's able to pass this leg entanglement, she should be in free 99 city, but she's definitely in an awkward spot right now with one leg in and one leg out. So she's got to be a little careful here. We're seeing a ref cam. That was interesting. They stole that from the PFL, huh? Now, big right hand from Tracy. Tracy's doing a good job of stuffing the weight forward of Arujau. Guys, notice how the inside of the shin is stuffed to the inside of the thigh, right? So you're seeing the calf touching the thigh and then a smother on the face from Tracy Cortez. This is very heavy half guard pressure. So she's in an awkward situation right now with one leg in the half guard, but now you see Vivi forced to bail out and go for a lockdown position because she was getting smothered there. That was beautiful from Tracy Cortez on top, and she's going to look to finish her. Tracy's getting aggressive on top. She just threw a knee to the body. She's looking for a head and arm choke on the opposite side. Nice right hands from Tracy. Short right hands from Tracy on top. Oh, I think Vivi's talking shit from bottom. What are you even saying? You're getting smoked, girl. Sorry. And she's the one that was guard pulling last round. What could she even say? Oh, my. This has been a really, really good bounce back performance from Tracy Cortez, guys. She's smothering her on the ground. The takedowns have been free 99 anytime she's needed them, essentially. So I'm really impressed by Tracy here. I was high on her coming in, but she's even, outdone herself in some ways. Man, she's talking to the ref. Dude, Vivi's anywhere else but here, bro. She lost this fight already. It's over. It's over. She ain't even fighting anymore. She's talking to the ref. She might get put away, man. She just doesn't look like she wants to be there anymore. When you're asking the ref to stand you up, you already gave up, man. Yep. Dixon said it. Vivi looking at the ref to save her. No doubt. That's the grave. Yep. It's over. Never been more over than that. And now Tracy really might TKO her, guys. She's in a dominant crucifix position. I don't think Vivi has anything left to give. I think Vivi's done, dude. I think Vivi's done. I think this round 3 plus 3,600 is about to cash. How about that? I think this round 3 plus 3,600 from the betting strategy guide's about to cash. 90 seconds left on the clock, and Vivi's done, dude. She didn't want to be here. The ref might stop this. 26-0 on significant strikes in the 3rd round. People told me Vivi was the side, and I said I can't get there, guys. I don't see it. Are you guys seeing it? I'm not seeing it. I should have bet fucking 10 units on Tracy Cortez. She's about to finish her right here with this head and arm choke, guys. Is she going to hop across and finish this fucking head and arm choke? Is she going to fucking hop across and finish this head and arm choke that she set up? I don't think she is. Damn, bro. Oh, this 36-1 is going to be so gross. I'm so sorry. If anybody tailed, this 36-1 is going to be so gross. Oh my gosh. That was actually good defense by Vivi. She did the right thing. Now the back take from Tracy. Tracy's looking for this short rear naked choke. She's going to lose it. Damn, Vivi is a survivor, man. Hats off to her. Nice short elbows from Tracy. Dude, Tracy's mean. Tracy's mean right here. Tracy's looking for this ground and pound TKO. Jason Herzog's there telling her to move. Damn. Dude, all these Tracy Cortez minus 165 decision bettors just got bailed out. That's the truth. Vivi got that ass whoop. All due respect. That was a domination. I thought that if you were looking for one piece that was a pretty, solid parlay type piece, I did think Tracy Cortez was the one, and she was the one, not the two. That was not close. Damn. Let's go ahead and look at the Roto Grinders call. Tracy Cortez via unanimous decision. Put the money in the bag. Tracy just ran that girl for her paper. Nearly stopped in round 3. Wow. Oh, my goodness. I only read the first half, Dixon. You almost got me there. All right. Would you be doing a fight companion for every pay-per-view? I'm trying to do a fight companion for as many events as I possibly can. The thing is, I wasn't able to do the last event in Baku because I was on vacation, but now I'm back. So as many as I can, DJ, I appreciate the question. Let's hear the unanimous decision here. Let me. Yeah, all three, 30-27. Tracy Cortez, left no doubt. CJ says do it every week if possible. I would love to. I would absolutely love to. And hey, if you guys enjoy it, drop a like on the stream. Let me know. Help out the channel by hitting that subscribe button. It all goes a long way. I truly appreciate it, but it's always my pleasure. Tracy Cortez did the damn thing. And if we go back to the article, guys, here's the quote that I thought mattered. Tracy Cortez can sometimes fight on thin margins, but if she brings the same game plan and execution to this fight she brought to the Jesuda Vicious fight, she should hand Arujau her 6th UFC loss by way of decision. And Arujau showed she was tough, showed she wasn't willing to quit on herself and give up, but she was out-skilled, out-hustled, out-willed, and frankly just dominated. So Tracy Cortez showed she was a much better fighter. But, she didn't break her will, right? She tried to. She had her in some dangerous positions. But Viviane Araujo shows she has an iron will. She's a iron woman of the division, right? She's very hard to put away. She's fought a lot of the best girls. But you can't win UFC fights getting outlanded every fight, So she's been outlanded now 8 fights in a row in the UFC. And that's the results you go and get. Damage is the number one criteria. Right? I hope Emil brought his wrestling shoes for this fight. I hear where you're coming from. I definitely think that's a possibility, but the guy who did out wrestle Delgado, Chris Makate, he's a good wrestler, man. He's an All-American for ODU. So that's tough. That's tough. I can't believe that round 3 didn't cash. I'm disgusted. We had one guy, my guy Gray in the chat, said that he had tailed the round 3 plus, what was it, 36 or 3,900? Let me check. Plus 3,600 for Cortez round 3. It looked like it was like plus 400. That's disgusting. Man, shout out to Fight Ready too. Yo, a lot of people have been giving Fight Ready grief because they had a little bit of a rough run, and I give them that, but they still come to play. And Tracy Cortez, what is that now? 6-1 in the UFC? Let me double check that. Let me fact check myself in real time. Tracy Cortez, guys, 6-1 in the UFC. Has she gotten a finish? No, she has not. But 6-1 in the UFC, man, that's a lot of impressive stuff, man. Feels like the whole community is on Hyder. I hope Vegas doesn't make a call. I will say that is a concern for me as well. Last time out, I picked Hyder and Mill, and everybody told me I was an idiot. And now there's definitely a lot more Hyder and Mill believers this time out. But I will say this as well. When I looked at the fight, right, I look at the betting distributions on Pickett every week to try and give myself an idea of, exactly what the community's doing. And obviously the community can be like the YouTube community, it can be the X community, but there's also just the betting community. And I try and look at where bets are actually coming in on, not what people are talking about, but like, where is the money? And I give a report on Patreon before the fights start every week about where I think that, the odds are at. So like, for example, I talked about the Cortez line being a little bit sketchy, but I did say I still think Cortez wins. So I always try and call it like I see it, right? When I look back on Patreon earlier about the Hyder and Mill fight, I said this, and I quote, "Another fight close to balanced is a Mill and Delgado. Books will be rooting for a Mill slightly. Line dropping on a Mill also indicates sharp activity, balanced total." So when I wrote this fight up, my official prediction was that either fighter could win by stoppage or it's going to be a decision for a Mill. So if I was looking for a side to bet on, the guy I think would be favored in the decision, Hyder or Mill, is plus money. I'd have to click that side or pass. But the danger is Hyder or Mill does walk into shots. He does take some damage. He does take a lot of risks. So it is a scary proposition, right? The risks going in. He could get knocked out. We know Delgado is a proven finisher. But one thing I always like to do is I just like to look at somebody's body of work, right? So if we go ahead, I'm going to share this on screen with you guys. Hyder and Mill is 11-0 as a professional, 6-0 career to the knockout, 1-0 career to the submission, 4-0 career to the decision, right? 3-0 in the UFC with 2 wins by knockout. He beat Fernie Garcia, and Fernie Garcia is 0-4 in the UFC. So what does that tell us? Not that much, right? But I will say this. It tells us that he's the only guy who finished Fernie Garcia. So a bunch of guys got the opportunity to fight him. He's the only one that finished him. Okay. Jiang Lee. He's a 500 fighter in the UFC. He's 2-2. He's only been knocked out once, and it was against Hyder and Mill, right? He got flatlined, and it was a fight where he was on his feet, just getting rock'em sock'em robots, 100 punches to the face before he ever knew what happened to him, right? Then William Gomes, guys, he wins that fight via split decision. Certainly a close fight, right? I won't argue otherwise. But Gomes is 4-1 in the UFC. He's a proven UFC level winner. So when I look at that, I'm like, damn, Hyder and Mill, he's just got a better body of work. That's truly how I feel. Delgado is the bigger guy. He's a young kid, but does he have the body of work? He beat Connor Matthews. Connor Matthews, guys, 0-3 in the UFC. So his only UFC level win in his entire career is Connor Matthews. He beat a guy named Ernie Juarez. Ernie Juarez at the time was 8-0. He's now 9-2. He lost a Uriah A1 combat fight since then. Right? So again, am I saying Ernie's not a good fighter? No, he's a fine fighter. But when I'm talking about, how this plays out, CJ says, do you like the spread on Hyder minus 125? I'll tell you why I don't like it. Because I think if Hyder loses this fight, the most likely way he loses is getting knocked out. So I don't think that the spread would cash, right? I would almost prefer a Hyder decision-only market where, hey, if he gets beat on the decision, hey, it's the first time in his career, first time for everything. But if he gets clipped on the shin, That's how Delgado wins all of his fights, right? He's finished every opponent that he's had so far in his career. So for me, it's a little bit of give and take. I know Emil is a durable guy, but he also fights with such risk that eventually I think it will, come back to bite him. So could it be tonight? I don't know. But I definitely think if you look at Delgado and what he does well, he was having a tough enough time with Ernie Juarez. But as soon as he got that opportunity to land the knee, he put him away. So that's the only thing I don't like about the spread, right? Is like I think Haider Emil could be fighting the fight of his life. He could be winning exchanges, get hit with one knee, go down, and then your spread bet goes up in flames at chalk, So if I was just looking for the Emil side, I would rather grab him on the money line. You feel me? But also back to the resume question, right? You look at the Makate fight. I think Makate should absolutely be in the UFC or on Contender Series, period, point blank. He's got the skills to pay the bills as far as I'm concerned and what he's shown on the regional scene. You look at a guy like Makate, his only loss as a professional. Makate, he's 11-2 career to the as a pro, right? And the guys he's lost to were Kanan Kawahe, a kid that was on Contender Series, right? So not a bad fighter. I think that this is the kind of guy who deserves an opportunity, right? He's coming off another big win in the LFA back in May. So Makate, that loss doesn't really hang over his head, right? I do think Haider Emil's best path to victory is a decision in this fight. And it's like plus 4XX, I believe, on the decision. If I go back to the betting strategy guide, I noted that Delgado KO plus 410, I thought was the way to play him in terms of the prop market. I think the prop market on Haider Emil, plus 425 over at ESPN, I thought that was interesting as well. And then when you're looking, Emil, I mentioned 4-0 in decisions, 2-0 in decisions at the UFC and Contender Series level. Seen him face guys that wanted to take him down, like Emre Sanmez. He dealt with that. Seen guys that wanted to bang it out on the feet, like Jiyoung Young Lee. He dealt with that. Seen guys who weasel decisions, like William Gomez. He dealt with that. So I just feel Haider Emil has put in a little bit more proof in the pudding, right? Could Delgado be the truth? Yes. But I think it's a little bit more hype than substance so far. I don't think he's proven it yet. So he's got all the right makings. He's from the MMA lab. He's got a great corner, right? He's got Benson Henderson backing him up. But Haider Emil is like the number one prospect, right? He's a little bit older. He's in his 30s. But he's the number one guy, essentially, the number one talent out of El Nino Training Center under Gilbert Melendez. So two, lightweight greats, right? Two lightweight, meaningful guys, in the history of this division are going to be on either corner here. So I think it's a banger. I think it's an absolute sensational fight, and I'm really fired up for it. My guy Dixon says, can we build a 2 or 3 leg parlay on the stream after this fight to get the juices flowing for the pay-per-view? Maybe do a poll with some legs and the most voted. Okay. How do I do a poll? Let's see if I can figure that out. I figured out how to do a goal. Can I figure out how to do a poll? I'll probably have to bring up the YouTube live stream here. So let me go ahead and find my own stream on YouTube. We're going into YouTubeception right now. So let me search for this. And here we go. Found the channel. Found the live stream. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, let's do this. Let's see if I can get a poll going in the chat. Y'all don't even know what I'm willing to do to try and set this up. All right, so you got to start throwing out some ideas for me, though. What should we parlay up, Dixon? Dixon is now in charge of the parlay. So you suggest legs to me, Dixon, and then I will let you know if I agree, if I disagree, or whatever. Okay, how about that? I agree with everything you're saying. I ended up a little heavier on Emil than originally intended, so here's hoping. Hey, cheers to you, brother. Absolutely rooting for you. Hedging Delgado KO 2-3 right now. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. My guy Bled says he's got several parlays already in. Dixon says, sweet. Good idea, says Cole. Appreciate all you guys. Class idea, says CJ. Love it. I absolutely love it. Bled's got the long shot, man. 38-1. Okay. We got the tail of the tape on screen for these two guys. So let me get this off screen for 1 second. Let's go ahead and get these guys on our screen, right? We got 74-inch reach for Delgado. That is going to be an advantage. He's also the taller athlete in this contest. So a couple of things checking the box for a guy like Delgado. Like I mentioned, anthropomorphics. If that's your bag, he's got all the anthropomorphic advantages. The younger, taller, longer fighter. On the other side, you got a guy with heart. You got a guy with a more proven resume in Haider Emil. but he's a little bit older, right? He's a little bit smaller. He's going to have to close the distance. And one thing I want to note, a lot of these guys that Haider Emil has been fighting, he's been doing it in the apex setting. He's been doing it in a small cage. Now it's a bigger cage. So it's going to be a little bit more space to work with. So I think this should be a really fun fight, really good scrap. Haider Emil, fired up, 11-0 as a pro, 2-0 as a UFC underdog. He's looking to do another one. And he's got some, fancy-looking mouthpiece, man. I really dig it. Haider Emil looks ready to go right now. This fight's about to be a war. I can have a feeling already. Knocking on wood. Cheers. Stepping out for bottle tokes before it starts. Hey, good luck. We doing it. Excuse me. We are having a couple sips, a couple of adult beverages here, but keeping it chill. Here we go. Yellow shorts for Emil, and he starts with a nice outside calf kick. Right away. Another outside calf kick. Emil is coming in hot and heavy with those calf kicks. Beautiful jabs from Delgado. Now they're into the body lock clinch. Delgado goes for a takedown. No dice. Emil throws him through. This fight is already crazy. Emil got hit with something up the middle as he came up. Nice right hand from Delgado, and then he put him out. Oh, my God. Delgado just put him to sleep. Delgado KO plus 410. Cash it. Oh, my. This is the thing about proving it. Sometimes you do it. Sometimes you do it. Oh, my. We'll go right back to the betting strategy guide. Guys, if you look at that very first line, what does it say? Delgado, 100% finishing rate. 5 out of 9 wins by KO. 2 out of 2 Dana White Contender Series in UFC. Plus 410 on Fanatics. My guy CJ, what did I say? Decision only was the play. That's it. That's it. We had to save ourselves, right? Because Haider Emil will always fight hard for your dollar. But guys, the one thing you never know is how somebody's going to react when they get hit with a massive knee, something like that. And guys, that was the exact strikes that we talked about. Oh my goodness. Haider Emil, tougher than an old leather boot, but he got hit with that knee and he just could not react the right way. He was out, guys. He was out. Oh my goodness. And he came back so quick. Like, he's so tough and well-conditioned that he came back really quick. But you got to give credit to Delgado. The line moved against him all week, and I agreed with the line because I did think ABCs say always bet on cardio. You bet on cardio. You bet on proven guys. But you also cannot write off these guys that have huge early finish upside. The market was saying it should have been plus 3XX. It looked plus 2XX. You could have got it plus 4XX on Fanatics before the fight. There it was. Delgado. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Delgado, knee up the middle. Unreal. That was beautiful. Emil was fighting well, this is a sad thing, guys. When you're fighting a dangerous finisher, the truth is you have to fight a perfect fight because I thought Emil was doing a lot of things right. He went out there, he went for a takedown, he closed the distance, he landed big calf kicks. He did a lot of the things you need to do to beat a guy like Delgado. But Delgado had one opportunity, grabbed a hold of it, knee to the head, and there it goes. There it goes. Unbelievable. Delgado is a man on fire right now. Oh, my word. Wow. Got to clip that betting strategy guide. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and Haider Emil, right, tough as an old leather boot because he wanted to keep going. That was not going to go well. Liam, Vegas made the call. They told Delgado to obliterate Haider. Yeah, they did. I can't believe he got slept. Hey, you know, you always have to think this, right? Haider Emil's been a dog in a lot of these fights, and it's because he's an older guy, but he's been overperforming. He's been doing a great job. And I liked last time out against Gomez that nobody was with me, right? I said that. But in this one, I thought he could win if it got to the decision. But let's go ahead and check out the Roto Grinders article once again. So let's go with some quotes here, right? Jose Delgado looked impressive when he was styling on Connor Matthews. Let me just make sure that this is on the screen. Okay, here we go. So Jose Delgado looked impressive when he was styling on Connor Matthews, but who hasn't? Now he gets his first real test in the UFC against undefeated Hyder Emil, another Dana White Contender Series product who has shown he can close the show with strikes. Both men are potent on offense and rely on durability more than defense. Delgado is going to have all the anthropomorphic advantages in this fight as he stands 2 inches taller, he has a 3-inch reach advantage, and he is 8 years younger. His only professional loss was against Chris Makate, who dominated him in the wrestling. Hyder Emil does not necessarily look to wrestle. He pushes forward and attempts offense with impunity. Emil has fought and defeated the higher level of competition. He has outlanded all of his UFC opponents, and he fights for your dollar. Delgado has the long-range weapons, clinch tools, and dangerous offense to potentially clip Emil or make him pay for his somewhat predictable pressure-forward style. He also trains with an elite gym at the MMA lab in Arizona, and he's likely to be cornered by the great Benson Henderson. My problem with Delgado is that he is a defensive void. His wrestling is not proven against quality opposition, and he is favored to win the toughest fight of his career to date. I could see either man going down, but if this fight goes to full 15, my gut tells me Hyder Emil will have done more work over 15 minutes. Boy, he didn't have more than 90 seconds out there, huh? Shout out to Delgado. He did exactly what he needed to do. He won the fight. He left no doubt. Put him away. So hats off to him. I thought both guys could clip each other, but Delgado showed he was a little too fast and a little too sharp tonight. Damn, wore my headphones out. Should have hedged one too. I'm so sorry, buddy. It was a crazy one, man. It was a crazy knockout. He just caught him behind the head, had a clinch tie, and was able to get him out of there. Tempted by RoboCop, rounds 1-2 KO at 10-3. I have no idea what 10-3 means. You'd have to give it to me in the other odds, brother. Rooting for RoboCop KO1 or Jack late here. I totally agree with you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the betting strategy guide. I said, and I quote here, I think the only way RoboCop cleanly covers his price is if he cashes the KO prop plus 200, round 1 plus 360, or round 2 plus 650. Hermanson is the money line side, in my humble opinion, but much like Hyder Emil, much like Slava Borshev, they need to get through this first round in order to have a chance, right? Maria says, not an exciting style, more elusive, good IQ. Hey, I think that's fair. Here's one thing I'll note. You know, RoboCop gets a lot of credit for his wrestling and his grappling, right? The truth is, though, if you look at RoboCop, he's attempted 2 submissions in the UFC, right? He didn't complete either of those. They were both against Armen Petrosyan. He finished nothing. That, for me, is not a really, like, it's not a great sign that you're a dominant grappler at this level, right? He was a national Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. So he's done his thing, right? He's gone out there and proven that he's not a guy that's phoning it in, right? He's not a guy that has no ground game. But who's he beating on the ground worth their salt, right? Like, nobody really, you know? And what I see from Jack is that Jack has submitted Gerald Meerschaert. The only 2 guys to ever submit Gerald Meerschaert in the UFC are Jack Hermanson and Rene de Ridder. You got to put some respect on his name for that. He submitted David Branch. That's another Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, right? He also went out there and submitted Kelvin Gastelum in the first 90 seconds. So when I look at Jack Hermanson, like, there's no doubt in my mind. He's got the better resume. He's beaten better guys, but he's 37 and he's been off since last February. So what exactly are you going to get from Jack Hermanson in this fight? That I don't know. I will acknowledge that. There are some unknowns on Jack. I'd almost like to see him fight for a minute or two before I would invest in him fully. But Jack, like I said, is the more proven submission threat to me. He's a guy that has a move that is a black belt move against anybody. Right? He almost finished Jacare with that seated Katagatami, right? When he sits to his butt and he's got the deep head and arm choke from the front seated position. It looks like a guillotine, but it's more like a head and arm choke in terms of fundamentals. Guys, that choke is so tight. Jack is really good at it. So when I see him at 19-1 to win any fight by submission, it's going to pique my attention, right? I think that Jakob in the chat makes such a good point. Jack is good, but wilts to big hitters too often. That's why I like the idea of Jack live if he loses the first round. Jack rounds 2, 3, and decision type props. Maria mentioned the decision. It's plus 3xx. Is it a great price? Not really. I'd almost rather have the money line at plus 2xx than the decision plus 3xx. Hi, sweetheart. My girl just got home. Had to say hello. Also, though, when I look at, okay, we got Jack Hermansson. How do I see him winning this fight? Even though RoboCop's a little chinny, in my opinion, I don't see Jack knocking him out. I just don't. Like, Jack is not a guy that normally goes for aggressive shots on the feet. But here's the things I will mention. Jack is a good wrestler, right? He got beat by Khamzat Chimaev 6-0 in the first period. Comes back out for the second period, and it's 0-0. So then everybody tells me, like, Jack got dominated. Yeah, he didn't get any takedowns, but, bro, who's taking down fucking Khamzat Chimaev? Good luck, right? So, Chris said he got Delgado ITD, RoboCop ITD. Hey, best of luck, my man. I did end up saying, if it's RoboCop, I think it's the KO. I think it's early, so I think you will end up cashing that. But if you look at Jack Hermansson, he's beaten better guys in my view, right? Like, you look at a guy like Chris Curtis. He had Chris Curtis on the ropes, with those elbows in the second round. He had him backing up, covering up, looking uncomfortable. Chris Curtis, guys, has only been stopped with strikes twice, and both were controversial, right? Like, in his career, he's fought 43 times. He's been stopped with strikes by, what's his name? The dangerous cat out of PFL. What's that guy's name? Ray Cooper III knocked him out after he had just fought somebody else earlier that night. So he fought 2 guys in the same night and got clipped. And then he lost to Roman Kopylov with like 10 seconds left or whatever. And it was kind of controversial, that head kick stoppage. In my opinion, fair stoppage there. But again, he's had 43 professional fights. So you look at Jack Hermansson, couldn't get him out of there. But Jack Hermansson is a guy that has fought a lot of top guys in this division. Getting dropped by Marvin Vettori is a massive red flag. Like that is the reason why RoboCop KO is super live here. RoboCop is aggressive. He believes in himself. But RoboCop has been stopped with strikes 3 times between Contender Series and the UFC. He got knocked out by Bruno Ferreira as a minus 300 favorite. So he's fumbled the bag as a favorite before. He got knocked out by Jordan Williams. Where's that guy? He's not at the UFC level anymore at all. Knocked him out on Contender Series. So a little concerning. Got knocked out by Jared Cannonier. That one will give you a free pass, right? Jack got knocked out by Jared Cannonier. No skin off your nose there. But when I just go through and I'm saying, okay, what's the body of work? What am I looking at for the RoboCop side? Let's actually go look at RoboCop's topology just to give a little bit of perspective here, right? Because when I look at RoboCop, his wins in the UFC, Christian Leroy Duncan is 4-2 in the UFC. He lost to RoboCop and Petrosian. He hasn't beaten a guy worth their salt yet. That's the truth. Brad Tavares, a guy who's no longer with the promotion, he was on his last legs. I'm sharing the wrong screen. Sorry about that. Dennis Tilulian, a guy who is extremely low level, like barely hanging on to a 500 record as a pro. No disrespect. So he loses to Cannonier. He beats 3 guys that are all okay, but nothing standing out. He loses to Bruno Ferreira when everybody thought he was going to smoke Bruno Ferreira. Okay, interesting. Then you see Chidi and Njokuani. He beats him. That's probably his best win. Chidi's moved down to welterweight, right? Beats Julian Marquez. Not a great win. Julian Marquez has been on very hard times ever since he lost to Cody Brundage the same way, for fuck's sake. Loses a split to Armin Petrosian. If we go look at Armin Petrosian, right? He is riding a negative record in the UFC, and he's riding a 3-fight losing streak where he's been finished in all 3 of his losses. Guys, he got armbarred by Bruno Ferreira. He got arm triangle choked by Rodolfo Vieira. Why is Gregory Hobocop Rodriguez not able to put this guy away? By the way, his only 2 sub attempts in the UFC were against that guy, and he couldn't finish it. So I don't know how his grappling is actually going to translate out. Then we look at, he beat Jin Young Park. I bet him that night, guys. He was minus 110 against Jin Young Park. It was Rock'em Sock'em Robots. It did not look like I had a huge edge on the line. He was hurt. Then all of a sudden he got to finish. Hey, did your thing, right? I can't complain. He cashed me the minus 110. He cashed me the ITD plus 250. But at the end of the day, it did tell me RoboCop, even in fights where he wins, man, half the time he's doing the Rock'em Sock'em Robot dance. He's out there taking unnecessary risk. So his wins in the UFC are as follows. Dusko Todorovic, Jin Young Park, good win. Julian Marquez, Chidian Njokuani, good win over a guy who's in a weight class below. Dennis Tulian, Brad Tavares, good win if it was 10 years ago. Christian Leroy Duncan, decent win. So he's really not beating a lot of good guys, right? Like he's just not beating that many good guys in the UFC. He's beating a lot of the guys that you'd expect him to beat. Meanwhile, you look at Jack Hermansson, he's 11-6 in the UFC. He just beat Joe Pyfer. Nobody was expecting him to beat Pyfer. I thought Pyfer was going to beat him, right? So a couple sharp guys did. Roman Dolidze has been, top 10 guy at, 205, 185. He's a big guy. He's heavy-handed. He's skilled. And Jack was having some success there. The problem was Roman was able to get him in a really awkward position. Guys, if you go watch that one back, there was nothing Jack could have done. He was stuck in a face-down, belly-down calf slicer getting TKO'd from the bottom. It's just a horrible, horrible position, right? You look at the Chris Curtis fight, decent win. You look at the Sean Strickland fight, wrong split decision. That should have just been a unanimous for Sean. But anyway, at least it was within the margins. Then you look at beats Edmund Shabazian. Edmund Shabazian is a very similar archetype. Like if you look at Edmund Shabazian, he's a front runner. He's got dynamic striking, but his cardio is not great. And if you get on top of him late, he starts to wilt. And I do think we've never seen RoboCop get somebody on top of him when he starts to wilt a little bit, right? Chitty had a fucking hole in RoboCop's face, right? There was literally a piece missing from the middle of his face. And then what happened in that fight? RoboCop was able to get top position and finish the fight because Chitty had cigarette cardio and didn't want to be there. And I'm just thinking, like, if y'all remember back to that, Jack has very good cardio. So when he was getting beat up by Edmund in round 1, he was like, if I could get a takedown in round 2, I could change the complexion of this fight. And then he did. So you look back and you say, okay, the Marvin Vettori fight, it does not age well, right? Marvin hasn't looked great since. But Marvin at the time was considered a title challenger type guy. That was not a bad loss at the time that it took place. Then you look at the Kelvin Gastelum fight. Again, he heel hooks him in less than 90 seconds. That was kind of unreal. The Jared Cannonier fight, bad look. But both these guys got finished by Jared Cannonier. It happens. Jacare Souza, great win. David Branch submits him in under a minute. David Branch is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Gerald Meerschaert has been submitted twice in UFC history. He got submitted by Jack Hermansson with that same exact choke. And they label it a guillotine. It's a seated katagatame. It's all good. That Talis Latis fight, if you want to understand who Jack Hermansson is, guys, he got his rib broken by Talis Latis. Like something happened, whether he was going for a takedown or he got hit in the ribs. He had a broken rib. And he's still able to get on top of Talis Latis, get the ground and pound stoppage, and then explain to the announcers that he had like pulled something, broken something, and that he could hardly breathe when he was getting the finish. So I think Jack Hermansson does not get enough credit for the fact that he was a top middleweight. He was a guy that proved himself to be a top 10 fighter over the course of his career, but inactivity has plagued him later on, right? He has not been as active. He hasn't fought since last February. But when I look at this matchup, I say to myself, I always look at the situation for both guys. And the situation for Jack is he's coming off a great win over Joe Pyfer, a guy who's got no other losses in the UFC. He's done quite well for himself. He's put away a lot of guys, shown his power, beats him over 5 rounds, takes some time off, and now he's coming back. So what do I expect from Jack? He's coming back from an injury and all this stuff. I don't know. There's some unknowns on his side. On the other side for RoboCop, I know he's been stopped with strikes 3 times between his Contender Series appearance and today. And I also know that he's a guy that doesn't really have many wins of this caliber, of this quality, right? He got knocked out pre-UFC by Bruno Lopes. Everybody's very low on that guy now. So I'm altogether just saying, I think that Jack could get knocked out in the first round. But if this fight goes long, I think Jack has a good chance to overperform his odds. So when I'm looking at this fight and this fighter, I think Jack is a guy that maybe doesn't get the credit and respect that he deserves. And the reason being is, he does fight a little bit of a boring style at times, fight on the back foot, kind of move away, made Chris Curtis miss, made him chase. Chris Curtis got frustrated. But we know that Hermansson has a well-rounded skill set, right? He's talented on top. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game. He's got skills on the feet. He's got some footwork. He's got defensive responsibility. He's just not a fish out of water anywhere. He's very well tooled. So ultimately, that's the reason I think that the price is off. I wonder if Hermansson could have been concussed in the Pyfer fight. That's possible. He got rocked a few times. It would explain the layoff. I think it's very possible, Simple Man. Good point. Also, that would explain why you'd want to take time off. But here's the other thing, right? I talked about the context, the situation for Jack. Let's talk about the situation and the context for Gregory Rodriguez, guys. He fought Jared Cannonier for 4 rounds in February of this year, right? So Jack has had more than a year layoff longer than Gregory. But the difference is Gregory fought freaking Jared Cannonier, landed some good shots early, had some success, hurt Jared a little bit. But when Jared rallied back on him, man, he got tired fast. He didn't have anything for him in rounds 3 and 4. And then he ended up folding up to 10 and got finished there in the 4th. And that's a lot of damage to take in February and come back 4 months later, you know? So I don't think either situation is perfect, right? One guy has had a long layoff. The other guy is coming back, in my opinion, a little too soon off a knockout loss. So if Jack was a huge, heavy-handed guy, I'd feel even different. But Jack is not really a guy who's going to test your durability, so to speak, as much as he's going to, throw a little more volume than you, be particular with his shots, get takedowns when he needs to, find opportunities to get guys out of there on the ground. He's an impressive guy, and he's definitely overperformed people's expectations in the UFC. Sometimes Bet365 can have live streams that are super ahead. Very interesting. I appreciate that. Did Armin rock him before they hit the ground? I don't think so. But I do remember I bet Armin Petrosian to win that fight. I think most of Armin's shots in that fight were low kicks. I noticed I'm trying to bet live and I am 8 seconds behind. Any advice from the world's greatest chat? Oh, that must be what the Bet365 was in reference to. Awesome. Great job helping out there. Appreciate you guys. I also think that Bet Online has something like that. I haven't used it in a while, but if you have a Bet Online account, I don't even think you need to bet on the fight. If you have a Bet Online account, though, you can normally watch UFC fights. It's a little bit spotty and inconsistent, but definitely something I would look into if I were you. Yeah, I did see that Jack's sub was 20-1 earlier this week, and I pointed out I think that's a little bit wide. Here, let me do this real quick. Somebody just asked my thoughts on this in the Patreon, so I'll just send this to be clear. Yeah, and do I think Robo has a path to a decision? Yes. He could go out there and win the first 2 rounds. But my problem is with projecting Robo, the one thing about his style that I don't really like in this big cage is Jack is a footwork heavy guy. I think he's going to be moving around, looking for the jab, looking for the low kicks. A lot of what RoboCop likes to do is get people to trade with him a little bit, get people backed up into a corner, start unloading heavy shots on them. And I just think Jack is pretty good at moving laterally, kind of skirting away from some of that. So it's not going to be easy to corner Jack necessarily, especially in a big cage. So that's something I'm going to be looking for here, right? It's what does the footwork look like early on in this fight? If Jack is just dictating where this fight takes place, I think it's his fight to lose in a lot of ways, But on the other side, I've always talked about physicality is a common denominator with guys that beat Jack Hermanson. He normally does not like fighting guys that are big and physical. Lost to Roman Dolidze, big physical guy. Lost to Sean Strickland. Not the most big and physical guy, but definitely an awkward guy, and he's got a great potent jab on the feet. Marvin Vettori, for all of his faults, he's a physical guy for the middleweight division. Jared Cannonier, super physical guy for the middleweight division. Thiago Santos, super physical guy, went on to the light heavyweight division, right? Cesar Mutange Ferreira, super physical guy for the division. So definitely physicality has been a common denominator in the guys that have given Jack some trouble throughout his career, and we got another guy who could threaten that here. As far as my article prediction for this one, guys, this is one of the article predictions I felt the worst about. I put Gregory Rodriguez by KO or decision, but honestly, man, it's one of those where, you're pressed early in the week, hey, make a decision. And the physicality is something that I couldn't ignore. Right. But I gotta say, there's just a sneaky feeling I have where I'm not seeing anybody in the record of RoboCop that reminds me of Jack as a 1-to-1 parallel. Jack is kind of a tricky, awkward style, and I think to myself, who would I favor, RoboCop or Joe Pyfer? And as disgusting as it sounds, I think I would favor Joe Pyfer. I just think he's a little bit more durable and a little bit heavier handed of the two. I think they're both heavy handed, I think they both have decent durability. I just think Joe's a little more durable, a little bit heavier handed, and could probably prevent the takedowns. Like, he's a physical guy. He's a big middleweight. So Jack beating him, I do think, is at least a test case for how he could win this fight. But 37 for Jack, 33 for RoboCop. Neither man a spring chicken per se. 2 inches of height for RoboCop at 6'3" compared to 6'1". 2.5 inches of reach for the underdog here, Jack Hermansson, 77 and a hook compared to 75 inches for RoboCop. So I don't have any action here. I'm wishing the best of luck to everybody in chat. Peace, love, and chicken grease to all you guys. We got fighter announcements going on right now. RoboCop bouncing. That HGH gut is going crazy. He definitely looks like he is on all the right sauce. 5-2 as a UFC favorite. He's been profitable in that odds range. But I did mention a couple of the times he's fallen short. Talked about the time when he fought, Bruno Ferreira on a pay-per-view. Everybody was expecting RoboCop to go run him over in his UFC debut. And Bruno Ferreira showed he was playing for keeps. Jack Hermansson, I must say, absolutely looks fired up. He looks dialed right now. 2-2 as a UFC underdog, but he's fought in the UFC for a long time. That tells you he's been favored to win a lot of these fights. And Jack Hermansson, last time out, did get a win as a dog. He's back here in that underdog role. He's fired up to be getting called out by Bruce Buffer here. Long layoff for Jack, but he looks ready to go. And physically, he looks like he's in great shape. I saw that Norway flag. Out there. And away we go. Herb Dean will be the official. RoboCop against the Joker. This sounds like a mashup from a tournament fighter game. And it's Jack who fires first with the jab. Falls short. Wow. Somebody just bet 50,000 on RoboCop. What could go wrong? Oh my goodness. Wow, somebody bet 25,000 on the under 1.5 as well. This is unreal. DraftKings is just flooding the zone with random big bet information right now. After the fight gets started, of course. So, decent right overhand for RoboCop. That was the first connection of the fight. Hit Jack on the guard, but certainly got his attention. Tried to follow up with a jab. Jack fires out with his own jab. Neither guy's really been in range for their shots yet. RoboCop connected there on a decent combination. You're seeing Jack put a lot of these combinations off of his forearms. He's doing a good job with that forearms guard, keeping it pretty tight and disciplined. But if anything sneaks through there, that could be a problem. Nice check left hook from Jack. Jack's definitely relying on that footwork early, bouncing in and out. RoboCop a lot more flat-footed, a little bit more trunk movement, head movement, shoulder movement from Robo. Jack getting off center line, firing the jab. I would say so far through 90 seconds, Jack has had more success. RoboCop has been throwing combinations, but he's not been landing through the guard. Nice right overhand by Jack as well. Jack picked a nice right knee up the middle, and now 2 good jabs popped RoboCop. RoboCop's bleeding already, guys. Nice check left hook from Jack. Jack is starting to find his range right now. Although RoboCop just closed the distance, found a good right hook. Good jab from Robo. Jack is sharp with the hands right now. He's actually looking like the better boxer in close. Nice outside low kick. Yeah, guys, if I were you, I would consider Jack live. I think right now Jack is fighting the fight he needs to fight to win. RoboCop's already busted up, so the price is probably going to start dropping on Jack. And RoboCop's still dangerous, no doubt about it, but I just like this performance that I'm seeing from Jack right now. He looks like he's dialed. He looks like he knows what he needs to do to win. And it looks like the footwork's on point. He's been just touching RoboCop with that left jab and that right hand. His striking has maybe never looked better. Really, really good performance from Jack through 2.5 minutes. RoboCop's bleeding from his head, man. I think he's got a couple different cuts. He's bleeding on both sides of his head, guys. Nice short right hand from Jack. I honestly think Jack looks like the better striker right now, which I would not have said coming into this. I think Jack has better ideas and better execution right now. Jack is plus 300 live. Huh? I don't think I agree with that at all. Hold on 1 second here, guys. I don't want to interrupt the stream, but I gotta go see if I can find that maybe on my book or something, because I don't know about all that. I think Jack is like clearly winning this first round, like dominating this first round. So maybe I'm just smoking crack. I don't know. Very possible. Maybe I've had one too many adult beverages, but I truly think that this has been Jack like dominating this fight. So. Let's see here. Damn, they just pulled it down off Caesars. Oh, damn. Yeah, people are getting in on it. I think that Jack is oh my God, Jack just got put to sleep. Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy fuck. Hat is off to RoboCop bettors. I literally thought Jack was fighting the fight of his life, and then he died. Wow. Back to the strategy guide. That is unbelievable. Hat is off to RoboCop. I don't think RoboCop won a single second of that fight, and he won the fight and knocked him dead. That is unbelievable. Body bags, yep, all that. Guys, so hilarious. We got to go back to the betting strategy guide. We absolutely have to. We have no choice. Look at this right here. I think the only way RoboCop cleanly covers this price is if he cashes the KO. I think he lost every minute of the fight, and he just knocked him dead with one. If you look, guys, RoboCop is bleeding from like 7 different places on his face, but he killed him with one left hook. That is unbelievable. Hats off to him. Holy fuck. Holy shit. Hats off. Hats off. Sorry to anybody I steered wrong. I truly believe that Jack was fighting the fight of his life. Oh my goodness. Wow, that's hilarious. I did say I thought that there was a chance Jack could die because of that fucking fight with Marvin. He got dropped. He's the only guy to ever get dropped by Marvin. Dude, that's the thing about fighting that's so frustrating sometimes. Jack was fighting the best I've ever seen him, and he died. Oh my gosh. Jack, like, if you go back, what do you tell Jack to do different there? You know? He was dodging, moving, touching, going, throwing, landing. Like, maybe you shoot a takedown if you're Jack, but otherwise, like, he literally did everything he could have to win that fight. But that's why sentence number 1 in the betting strategy guide. KO plus 200, round 1 plus 360. That's why we bet Jack live instead of pre. Holy shit. Hey, Chris, you're cooking. I think you said Tracy Cortez got you, but now that's 2 in a row, baby. Don't let him get hot. Jack is still out. Oh my gosh. Dude, RoboCop is going to set up the best future fade of all time. Wow, that's awesome. I cannot wait to fade RoboCop. Oh my. Dude, RoboCop did not win 1 second of that fight, guys. I tell you. If that's all, I just wish we got to the end of round 1 because I wanted to see that scorecard. Oh my gosh. Yeah, people are clapping just to see Jack sit back up. Oh my gosh. I'm going to clap for Jack. Dude, prayers up for Jack. I think this is Jack's last fight ever, man, because Jack's 37. He took a long time off. He came back. He was fighting the fight of his life, and he just got knocked out. I think that's the end of it, man. His scar tissue, dude, his scar tissue is going to get him brutally finished again soon. But, oh, my God, man. What a display from RoboCop. I got to go back to it. Let's see. Wow. I just got to say, man, I'm impressed. That was a fun one. RoboCop's a fun guy. Somebody in the Patreon said, dude is kicking it with Jesus right now. Oh, my. Oh, my. Prayers up for Jack. That was a bad one, man. That was a bad one. Unbelievable. That is so crazy, man. Robo was looking like plus 150 and then instantly killed him. And yeah, Ricky in the chat, classic Herb Dean stoppage. He's not dead yet, so let him get another couple in. Oh my goodness. No wonder Jack was out for a while. That was bad, man. Okay, now I got to go look up my RoboCop tweet because he did kill him. That was unreal. That was unreal. I'm going to show this on the screen just so you guys get some perspective here. Yeah, Dope in the chat says Jack's jab looked good until he left Earth. I agree with you, man. I really believe that was the best Jack Hermanson on the feet I've ever seen, and then he died. I had RoboCop KO round 1, and just as I thought, okay, it ain't coming, I live bet Jack, and he KO'd him. Hey, hopefully you just were in a risk-free situation there, because that was the wave, man. It was RoboCop KO, or it was Jack on the money line, man. Jack looked like he was going to paint a masterpiece, and then he only had 4 minutes to do it because he was snoring the rest of the way. Oh, my goodness. If we go back and look at this, guys, on June 27th, just yesterday, I tweeted, okay, RoboCop may kill him because of that knockdown right there from the legend that is Marvin Vettori. Guys, if you're getting dropped by Marvin Vettori, it was always possible you're getting put out by RoboCop. But that being said, man, hats off to Jack. He did fight so well. Such a brutal sport. Little profit still. Nice. There you go. Get your money. Get your money. Risk-free profit's always the best. That's so brutal, man. Back to the RG document. Reluctantly, we picked Gregory Rodriguez via KO or decision. That was the wave, man. Oh, my. Oh, my. It should have just been KO, man. He had no chance to win the decision there. Oh! RoboCop. That's a bad man. RoboCop is one of those guys. He's kill or be killed, right? He's been stopped with strikes 3 times, but just like with Jin Young Park, man, he'll play that rock'em sock'em robot game. Oh, guys, I got to share. I think this is on screen, right? Oh, no. Here, let me share this. I said Jack Hermanson does not want to exchange with RoboCop on the feet. He needs to stick and move, or the power and physicality of the Brazilian could overwhelm him. I'm somehow still not on the right visual. Here we go. Oh, we knew. We knew that it was a danger. Oh, that's such a brutal way for Jack to go out, man. The Joker. The joke was on him. So, guys, here's what I'm going to do, right? Because I'm not going to go live for the whole pay-per-view. My lady just got home. I got to go hang out with her. I appreciate everybody for rocking with us. What I'm going to do is before we get out of here, I'm going to go through all my picks on the main card from my Roto Grinders article, all right? So let's go ahead and we'll pop over to the main article. And away we go. All right. So first up, guys, we've got Felipe Lima taking on Peyton Talbot. And when I'm looking at this fight, I'm seeing 2 really talented prospects. I think that Felipe Lima is the better coached athlete. He comes from Andreas Michael's gym, All Stars MMA in Sweden. I think that they're really high level, right? And when I'm looking at how he was cornered against Muhammad Namath, I was impressed. They told him exactly what he needed to hear. They kept getting on him. They didn't let him off the hook. They told him, hey, you got cardio. Let it out there. Trust yourself. Go. They gave him a lot of really good advice, and he fought so well in that fight and went out there and took it to Namath. And his coach basically told him in as many words, like, dude, if we go to the scorecards here in Saudi Arabia, you're going to lose because they're going to give it to him. So you need to go out there and take it from him. And he goes out there and gets that third round submission. It was a beautiful performance. Felipe Lima then goes out and beats Miles Johns, a guy who's been a fringe top 15 guy, a guy who's been a hangers-on in that part of the division, about 6-3 in the UFC, so well above 500. And he goes out there and gets the win again, gets the takedowns when he needs them, gets the back take when he needs it against the guy who is a solid wrestler in his own right. So when I look at how Felipe Lima matches up, he's a little bit smaller than Peyton Talbot. He doesn't have as much volume as I would like against a guy like Peyton Talbot, but I think his ground game is sound. I think his coaching is very good, and I think he's a really high-level fighter. So no matter who wins this fight tonight, I truly believe both these guys are future contenders in the bantamweight division if this is what they want to pursue. Peyton Talbot seems like a guy who's got, a wide range of interests, right? He seems like he's like, doing some video production and some music and some stuff, but when he fights, like, he's clearly talented. He's clearly a great athlete. He's clearly a guy that wants to win. He fights hard. Against Tony Barcelos, lesser men would have quit. He was in 3 submissions in the first round. But that being said, Tony Barcelos is 38. He's extremely technical in all of his stuff. But his speed, his movements, they're a little bit slower, right? And I think a guy like Felipe Lima is very fast. He's very efficient with his movement. He's good at reacting on his timing for his takedowns. So I don't think you should ever sleep on a guy, like Felipe Lima. He's favored to win this fight. So I got him to win by sub at plus 1,300 against Muhammad Namath. Now it's plus 650 against Peyton Talbot, who I don't think gets tired like Muhammad Namath gets tired. So for me, the lines have kind of just not been where I wanted on this fight, right? If it was a closer line fight, I'd probably be on the Lima side because I think the reactive takedowns will be there. Peyton Talbot fights in a very upright stance, but if he doesn't get takedowns, I just think Talbot will run away on volume. So he's got a chance to win this fight via decision, but the defense of Lima is so much superior. He does not get hit very often. He's very defensively sound, and his chin looked very good against Namath, who's a big 145er who hits hard. And meanwhile, Peyton Talbot, he's a big 135er, right? He hits hard, but he's also, been taken down and controlled on the ground by Nick Aguirre. He's been taken down and controlled for a large portion of the fight, almost 2 full rounds of the fight against Tony Barcelos. So I think Andreas Michael and All Stars in Sweden is going to say, hey, buddy, I know that you like to go out there and mix it up on the feet. Fuck that. Go take this guy down. Every time he gets upright to strike with you, go ahead and shoot low on him. And I think he will have opportunities. So for me, the pick is Felipe Lima. I understand that Peyton Talbot is a live underdog. I understand that Peyton Talbot will have a bright future in the sport. Got nothing but respect for the guy. I was super high on him coming into the Tony Barcelos fight. But now he's back in a prove-it spot. I went back and looked after the fact, and I said, did he deserve to be that big of a favorite before the fight? And the answer was no. He had beaten Nick Aguirre. He had beaten Yanis Gamori. He had beaten Cameron Simon. He hadn't beaten anybody who had shown that they were on the same level as a guy like Tony Barcelos. So for me, it's a little bit of pump the brakes on Peyton Talbot. It doesn't mean you go from minus 1,800 to plus 155 and now you have no chance to win. It's not that. But it's saying, did they give him an easy fight? Did they give him a layup? Did they give him a bounce back? Right? Did they give him a Nico Price, with all due respect? No. They gave him Felipe Lima, tough guy, another serious prospect, another guy under 30. Not an easy fight. So I think both these guys are sound. Both these guys are quality. On the feet, I think slight edge to Peyton Talbot because his offense is a little more potent. But I think that slight edge on the ground goes to Felipe Lima, or I should say slight edge in the wrestling, but big edge on the ground. So for me, fun fight, good scrap. Both guys deserve to be here, but give me Felipe Lima in a close one, and I won't be betting on it. I'll be watching it. Shout out to my guy Chris V with the dono. If we get 9 more before we get out of here, I will drink a full beverage from this shoe. But otherwise, I wanted to just say shout out to my guy Chris V. Thank you for the support, brother. It's always my pleasure, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you watch the show, if you watch Bets and Banter, if you watch any of the content that I produce, I truly appreciate it. If you read my articles, I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. So if there's anything I could do for you guys, let me know. If you guys have questions, comments, and concerns, fire them off in the chat. But with that being said, guys, the official prediction for me on that fight was Felipe Lima defeats Peyton Talbot via sub or split decision. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be competitive, but I do believe that there is a chance that we see the finish here. My guy Adam says, do not drink out of the shoe. You got to understand, it's a UFC tradition. Tai Tuivasa popularized it. I don't know why they get down with shoeies in Australia and all around the world, but I am a man of the people. The shoey is a popular gimmick. I will always say whatever it takes, I'll do it. Renato Moicano, Beneil Dariush, guys. Next up, this is a fight where both these guys are guys I respect. Both these guys are serious lightweights, but they're both 36, right? They're both a little bit less than the desired durability for a high-level fighter. So could I see either guy getting clipped on the chin? Absolutely. I mentioned in the Hyder Emil and Jose Delgado fight, I said either guy by KO. I think in this fight, either guy by KO is quite possible here as well, and I'll walk you through why. If you look at Beneil Dariush, his chin has looked very sus in recent years. He got hurt by Drakkar Klose, then had to rumble back and get a big knockdown. Hey, Noah with the absolute slamboree. Noah, you're far too kind for that. With a $50 dono, I'm going to have to horse whatever's left in my glass just out of respect for that. We had to hit the Slambo for Noah. Noah, thank you so much. We are now technically with Simple Skills Gaming also throwing one out there. Cheers to you, Simple Skills. Appreciate you. You're far too kind. A $20 dono as well. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Any amount is always appreciated. If we get 7 more before we get off the air here, then I will drink the rest of the contents of this out of this shoe. And I truly appreciate you guys so much. Anything is appreciated. All you guys are appreciated. And right back to it, we're going to somehow find our train of thought. The train of thought that we were at was saying, if you look at Beneil Dariush, he's been getting hurt in these fights even before he was starting to get knocked out. Then he fights Charles Oliveira. He was inefficient with his energy. He gets clipped with a head kick. He gets finished with ground and pound, gets knocked out. Comes back against Arman Sarukian, gets put down with one big punch. It didn't look so good. So now we're definitely in the position, and my guy Dixon says the big dodos are worth the shoey. Hey, if we get here by the end and we haven't hit the goal, then we're still going to do the shoey for Noah, for Simple Skills Gaming, for Chris. I appreciate you guys. We will no matter what, but we still like to leave the door open. You feel me? Exactly. My guy Dixon points out, I can't put it back in the fridge now. It's already been sitting here the whole show. So now we just got to go. We're already on the edge. We're on the precipice. But I want to make sure I get this information to you guys before the main card starts. So with that being said, I'm going to try and dial for a second. We've got a guy in Beneil Dariush. The reason why I say either guy by KO, right? Benny's chin has been looking super sus. Moicano, he just got submitted by the champ. You don't hold that against him. However, where has Moicano been a little bit sus? Man, against southpaws, that double attack has always given him problems. The left kicks to the body, the left hands upstairs. Those are two of Benny's best weapons on the feet, guys. He's got a very powerful, albeit slow, overhand left. It looks like a pitching machine, right? When Benny throws his left hand, you could see it coming from a mile away, but it goes like this. And when it connects, ask Mateusz Gamrot, dude, it sounded like a bomb exploded in the arena when Gamrot got hit on the chin. He dropped, hit the deck. Round 3 was sealed for Benny. That's the kind of thing he could do. So when you look at a guy like Beneil, his record in decisions is immaculate. He's just been an incredible decision fighter his whole career. If you look at how he's fought in the UFC, he's a blood and guts guy on the feet. He's extremely difficult to take down. So when you imagine the best version of Beneil Dariush, he's a terrible matchup for Renato Moicano in many ways. Moicano is a tremendous top player. He's an excellent grappler. He's a good wrestler, not a great wrestler, but a very good wrestler. He beat a lot of guys in that position. And he showed evolution in his career, right? He goes out against a guy like BSD, a guy who's tougher than an old leather boot, and he beat him up on the ground. He changed his face, right? Beat him into mincemeat. And then in round 2, when he couldn't get the takedowns as easily, he was able to keep him at distance, poke away until the doctor decides to intervene. The thing is, though, Benoit Saint Denis, with his eyes already swollen up, with his face already mashed to bits, was still having some success with the left hand. He was still having some success with the left body kick. And you just have to say to yourself, like, that has been a common refrain throughout his career. One of the biggest bets that I remember placing recently, right? And it wasn't that recent, but just to say, like, I've kind of tempered myself away from massive bets just because I know the volatility of MMA. Y'all were watching that Jack Hermanson fight, right? But when you go back and look, like, I had 7.5 units on Renato Moicano against 7.5 units on RDA against Renato Moicano. And the reason being, Moicano was on a boat in Brazil drinking beers and having steaks. And then they fly him out on like 24 hours notice to fight 5 rounds with RDA at 165-pound catchweight. It was like the worst situation you could ever imagine for somebody to come in and try and win a UFC fight, right? And on top of all that, you saw in that fight the exact dynamics I'm talking about, guys. That southpaw double attack, RDA was ripping him with body kicks. RDA was landing with impunity with the left hand. RDA hurt him badly with a left high kick, had him on Dream Street. It was a minor miracle he didn't finish that fight. One thing I will note, when you see Renato Moicano cut a lot of weight, when he cut to 145 back in the day, he used to get knocked out much more frequently. I believe the only time he got knocked out at 155 pounds was against Fiziev. But in that fight, we saw Fiziev go to the body, go upstairs, right? Hit him to the body, hit him upstairs, put him away. And when you look at guys that have hurt him before, we've seen, like, you can hurt guys with big, long torsos to the body. But Neil's kind of got the body of like a father. He's just got this huge back. He's got like a decent-looking abdomen. He looks like a guy that you just plucked off the street. But he's really got skills, man, in all positions. So for me, ever so slight lean towards Benny. The market has gotten mushed on Benny. If I got plus money, I'd have grabbed it. If I couldn't, I'd have passed. So now he's at like a chalk type of price, a very short dog price. That I'm not as interested in because either guy could get slept, right? It could be Jack Hermanson looking like value until he gets hit one time. But ultimately, guys, I'm seeing, a guy who I just don't really rate out as like, hey, this guy is, a guarantee to beat Dariush in Moicano. Moicano, I had said on my bold prediction show earlier this year, I thought Moicano would fight for the title. He's already done it, right? He's all about the money. He already got paid big, man. He got exactly what he was looking for in terms of that big paycheck to fight Islam Makhachev on short notice. And now I just question, where is the motivation at to do this fight with Beneil? He goes from a title fight to a fight that's fourth on the make. It kind of just seems like contextually, Beneil might have a little bit more motivation for this one. So if that's going to be the case, then I got to say to myself, you know what? This is the kind of fight where Benny's got a chance. So either guy by KO, Benny if it hits the scorecards. That's my final take on that fight. This is the people's main event here, guys. We got Brandon Royval and Josh Van. We got one more dodo in the chat from Chris V. He says Shui Vasa. Here's what I got right now. We're hitting the old chug on the vodka ginger. Vodka ginger chug for the dono. I believe we're up to 4. We're up to 4. The goal was 10 of any size, any kind, but we're hitting it no matter what. So if I get through the end of these last 3 breakdowns and we haven't hit the goal, we're hitting the shoey anyway because that's how we roll. In either case, I think that this is one of the most competitive fights on the card. I think this is one of the best matched fights on the card. Brandon Royval, I bet him plus 190 against Kai Kara France. I called him via submission. This was one of my early on calls, guys. When I first started putting out my shit online, I was so fucking proud of that call. And when you look at how that fight played out, Royval gets hurt. He hits the deck. He goes to a knee. He comes back up, spinning elbow from one knee. Lands it on Kai Kara France. Kai Kara France gets hurt. He shoots a takedown. They get into a crazy scramble. It was an unbelievable fight of the year type of candidate. When I'm getting big plus money on Royval, always something I'm going to have to look close at. Here's the problem. He fought my favorite prospect in the flyweight division, Tatsuro Taira, last time out, and I thought Tatsuro Taira was going to get the job done. I thought Tatsuro Taira was just simply going to run through the division. And unfortunately, he received a veteran lesson from a guy like Brandon Royval. And how did Brandon do it? Brandon is able to match a lot of what Taira is the best at. Taira is a fantastic grappler, sensational, some of my favorite technique to watch in the UFC, regardless of weight class. But that being said, Royval is a dynamic scrambler. He's a black belt himself. He's got a ton of experience on the mat, and he's got world-class cardio training in Colorado at elevation. So I believe that Brandon Royval has some things that make him a really tough out for guys. But the problem is his wrestling is not a selling point. right? He's normally a guy that gets taken down very easily. So he's got a very dynamic ground game as a way to account for that, right? But he's kind of noodly. He kind of falls over with a gust of wind, right? Then you look at a guy like Josh Van, and he knows everybody that he fights essentially is going to want to take him down because he's so dangerous on the feet. So he basically keeps it simple. He throws low kicks, but not super overextended, right? He's just chopping away at the calf, chopping away with the jab, chopping away with his combinations, mixing the kicks when he can, but he's powerful. He throws a lot, and he knows that I can touch, and get this guy out of position and then start landing bigger ones. The problem for Josh is some of the things that have been concerning for him are things that Royval could exploit. Here's what I mean. You look at Josh Van. He goes out there against Edgar Chairez. I bet Edgar Chairez in that fight. Why? I'm a huge fan of Josh Van, but it was a big plus 200 number, and I was like, these guys are going to meet in the middle and fucking throw crazy, and neither one of them is a quitter. So I just was like, this could go either way. And Edgar Chairez, if he didn't gas out, had a ton of success in that fight, right? Like, he was looking for the guillotine. He had that big shot. But here's the other thing I'll note. He had to grab the fence and, like, hit that spin off the fence because Van was right about to finish him. That saved him there. Van has been hurt a couple times. So could Royval clip him with something? We just saw Jose Delgado grab that clinch knee, throw it up to Van. Van got dropped by Charles Johnson with that uppercut. I do think, as good as Van is, we have to be realistic and say, at 23 years of age, fighting 3 weeks after you just fought, it is possible he gets clipped on the chin. And in my opinion, the biggest danger is not him getting clipped on the chin because he's tough and he's durable. Even that fight with Charles Johnson, he got dropped there. But, you know, a lot of refs, I think, would have let a couple follow-up shots go before they decided whether or not he was in or out of that fight. You know, he hit the ground. They called the fight fair enough. But when you look at it, Josh Van, he got hurt against Edgar Chairez. He shot a takedown right away. Kai Kara-France, the exact reason that I bet Royval against him was because, you know, when you look at that fight, right? Kai Kara-France used to shoot all the time when he got hurt. He would get hurt and shoot a takedown. And that recipe against Royval is a bad idea because Royval has a money guillotine. And I say this as a guy that loves a guillotine choke. We're waiting for somebody to shoot. We're hoping you shoot and put your head on the outside, you know? So that for me is where Van could make a huge mistake if he decides to wrestle and grapple in this fight at all. Even if he gets hurt, he should try and clinch break, move away, stay away from the guy because Royval is so opportunistic and dangerous in the grappling. But on the feet, I think the amount of volume, the amount of the superior shot selection, the superior damage with each strike, you know, I just think that there's a lot more weight behind the punches of a guy like Josh Van. And I think Royval kind of throws out these like pawing jabs, and that gives a lot of openings, I think, for Josh Van to punch underneath that, to throw some kicks to the body potentially as well. Also, we got Rich in the chat saying Talbot smashed this kid too soon. Wow. Interesting. We definitely, you know, see that I see he's live, you know, I do agree with that, but I like both these guys, man, as prospects. I had a hard time getting a clear read there. The one thing is, I will ask you this, Rich. Do you agree with me that Peyton Talbot's corner could use some work? Because the Reno Academy of Combat was telling him in between rounds after the Houndy Barcelos fight, right? He's in between rounds 2 and 3. He's down 2 rounds, clear as day. And the coach says to him, he's like, Peyton, you're down 2 rounds. I need you to go win this one. And I just thought to myself, I was like, that's the worst advice I've ever heard in a corner. He literally needed the knockout or he was not going to win the fight. And he's like, I need you to go win this round, which will lose you the fight 29-28. It just, for me, was an indictment. Meanwhile, you see on the other side, Andreas Michael telling in the fight with Nemeth, Lima exactly what he needed to hear between rounds 2 and 3. That was my selling point on the Lima side, but ultimately, you know, we're not getting a minus 110 type scenario, right? We're getting a plus 150 and higher in some places on Peyton Talbot. And Peyton Talbot is a very good prospect. I was on a show earlier with VB, as well as one of the guys from the SX Betting Exchange, and he had basically said, like, their ELO models that they use as like a baseline, like imagine they're just going to set a line when they don't watch combat sports. They just go to, does he switch stances? Does he have power? Does he have knockouts? Who's he beating? What was the closing lines? The ELO models put Peyton Talbot as like a very highly ranked fighter in this division. So that's something just to keep in the back of your mind, right? I had thought Peyton Talbot was a guy who was destined for huge things. But that fight with Raoni Barcelos was a pump the brake kind of moment, right? Mike Perry's girlfriend said, "You're doing great, babe." Hey, you're right. It doesn't always matter about the corner, right? So it's certainly just one factor among many to consider. But I think that when I look at this fight with Josh Van, I'm saying to myself, Van via KO or decision. That's my pick on the fight. But if it goes sideways, I think it's going to be a club and sub for Brandon Royval. I think he does have power. He's got 3 knockdowns in the UFC. We know Josh Van has 3 knockdowns just in his last fight, right? So he's a clearly very, very dangerous fighter. But on the other side, we got to say, Brandon Royval's been fighting the toughest guys in the division. He's been fighting top guys since he got here, title challengers, real fighters, and he's never punked out. He's been beat before, but he's not a punk, man, by any means. He's a guy that really wants it. So not a guy that I feel very comfortable fading. And I will say, Tatsuro Taira is a guy that I really rate out as a prospect. I think Josh Van, Tatsuro Taira, both serious flyweight prospects for different reasons. And ultimately, Royval showed, hey, I can turn these guys back. I can let them know what time it is. So you can't count out a guy like Brandon Royval. Does he have concussion issues? Yes, that's what I was hearing in the lead up to this fight. Also a major concern for me when you've got a guy that has such power like Josh Van. Shout out to Brandon. We got 5 donos in the chat. We got a $5 dono from Brandon and says, "Killing it, Liam. Do you think there'll be a lot of decisions on the main card?" We had a decent amount of decisions on this prelim card. It was kind of a mixed bag, right? We had Jacoby get the finish. We had obviously that devastating knockout from Gregory Hobocop Rodriguez. We saw the fight go the distance with Tracy Cortez and crew. So I'm kind of thinking on this main card, we'll probably see a mixed bag. I think there's definitely finish possibilities in the main, co-main. I think Van and Royval could go to decision, but I could see that finishing. I could see a decision in the Moicano fight. I could see that finishing. I think Talbot and Lima more often than not is going to hit the scorecards because they're both so talented. But, we've got a guy on the feet in Talbot with clear dynamic power, throws a ton of volume, can't count on his knockout ability. On the other side, Lima, in my opinion, is super opportunistic with the subs. If he gets on your back, unlike Raoni Barcelos, who, in my humble opinion, didn't believe he had the gas to put on a real squeeze. He kept getting to chokes and letting him go after 3-4 second squeezes. I think that the opposite's true with Felipe Lima, man. If you give him one opportunity like that, he's going to try and sink that all the way in and close the show. So ultimately, I do not see the main event going the distance. I'm pretty confident in that. I think that one's going to wrap up in the first 3 rounds, let's say. And if you look back, Kai Kara France, in terms of a trend line, his last, I think, 5 fights that have been on pay-per-view all ended inside the distance. The guy's been kill or be killed, right, in a lot of these fights. And I do think there's a chance it goes the distance. We saw them go the distance on The Ultimate Fighter 9 years ago. Pantoja is a proven submission threat. He's got power in the body kicks. That could be an issue for Kai Kara France we've seen in the past. But I liked what Kai Kara France did to address that in the most recent fight that we saw him. So I'll move on to this next fight, guys. I'm picking Kai Kara France to get the upset. And listen, am I guaranteeing it? Absolutely not. Because if you said to me, Liam, this fight ends by submission, then I would say, all right, Pantoja won it. Congratulations to the champ. He's very, very skilled, very talented, got a great Brazilian jiu-jitsu pedigree, opportunistic there. But Kai Kara France has defended 8 of 9 submission attempts that he faced in the UFC. And the one guy that submitted him was Brandon Royval, who submitted him after hurting him twice. So he dropped him on the feet multiple times before getting that submission. It was an opportunistic club and sub. It was brilliant work. But we've seen him fight out of back takes. Askar Askarov, I was there in person in Columbus, Ohio. He got on the back. He had some opportunities. And he was able to shuck him off, right? Askar Askarov has a win over Alexandre Pantoja. He got the win Kai Kara France did over Askarov. You look at Kai Kara France, his run in the UFC has been a very funny run in the betting market, right? I look at Kai Kara France and what do I see? I see that the guy was favored to win his first 7 UFC fights. Then his last 5 UFC fights, he's been an underdog 5 times in a row. He's won 3 of those fights, and he should have beat Amir Albazi, which would have been 4-1 in his last 5 fights as an underdog. So against Steve Erceg, right, we saw Pantoja struggle. We saw him have a hard time. We saw him go tit for tat, really close fight, back and forth. And meanwhile, Kai Kara France went out there and dealt with him accordingly, sent him every which way but loose, hurt him badly. He's got 8 knockdowns in 12 UFC fights. Pantoja, I think, has 4 in 16. So if this fight plays out on the feet, you got one guy who's proven more powerful. You got one guy who's proven that he goes out there and defends shots at a little bit better rate, goes out there, lands a little bit more per minute. So I think there's some reason to think Kai Kara-France could be live in the decision here. But I also think that Kai Kara-France has shown he has fight-ending power. He's got 4 fights in 8 wins with 100+ fantasy points. And it's not from, wrestling guys to a decision, right? It's from knocking guys out. It's from getting multiple knockdowns against Cody Garbrandt, send them flying all over the damn octagon. It's about going out there against Rogerio Bontorin, defending the rear naked choke. By the way, Bontorin won a grappling match against Muhammad Mokaev. He's absolutely no slouch in the grappling. Goes out there, takes the back, gets some good positions. As soon as he falls off, Kai Kara-France frames the uppercut, sends him all the way to Hades. So I think that Kai Kara-France is one of these guys that a lot of people don't like because he does the haka, he does the Maori stuff. I just think, as far as I'm concerned, everybody's got their own background, right? Everybody's got their own, reason for doing it, right? I like to think I'm an Irish-American original. I'm a guy that goes out there. I represent my culture when I compete. I like to be hard-nosed, simple. Grit and guillotines, that's what I say, the Irish-American way. Shout out to Sean Brady. But it's simple, I'm looking to break people mentally. I'm looking to get a hold of that neck and make them give up, Nothing too fancy about it, right? I'm not looking for sophisticated leg locks and let's go arm bar for arm bar and whatever. It's like, no, let's keep going until one of us gets tired and one of us quits. And I know that a lot of times that'd be, a good situation for me, right? That's the way I try and think of it. When you look at these guys, like obviously Pantoja is an incredible back taker. He's got a very, very good opportunity from the back. But I just look at the data points. He's 35 years of age. He's absorbed 100+ significant strikes in all of his recent fights, except the Asakura fight against the guy who's not proven in the UFC. Kai Kara-France, proven in the UFC. So when I see like a lot of these guys, maybe not giving Kai Kara-France the credit and the respect because he's got his own culture. He does his own thing. He's a little bit, emotional at times. Like I just don't really buy into that shit, right? And like I look at a guy like Jack Della Maddalena. He was fighting, Bilal. And Bilal at the time had gotten to the peak of his all-time respect, his all-time credit. Nobody liked him more than that moment when he was going to go out there and fight Jack. And meanwhile, I'm saying to myself, like, people are now buying the all-time high on Bilal Muhammad because they all hated him on his rise up. But then he gets the wins, and now they're buying in. And it's like Pantoja, he had to earn his way to the top the slow way. People weren't behind him. They weren't clamoring for him to get a title shot or something like this. Then he gets to win over Moreno, split decision, barely gets over the hump, right? And he's kept away. He's kept doing it. And now he's gotten the credit and respect. He beats Kai Asakura. He gets a lot of credit and respect at the window now. And I just say to myself, you know what? One guy's been getting a lot of credit and respect at the window, and one guy's not. And that's Kai Kara-France, man. 5 times in a row, he's been an underdog. 4 times he's looked like he was the right side easily. Against Brandon Moreno, the one time that he lost, that was a close fight. It was 20 to 18 on 2 different scorecards, right? They had it 2018 Kai Kara-France, 2018 Brandon Moreno, 19-19 apiece, and Moreno put him down with a body kick. Hats off to Moreno, right? A great champion, a great fighter. But Kai Kara-France is 32. He's a city kickboxing guy. He's put in a lot of the right time and a lot of the right work. And as far as I'm concerned, man, people were writing him off, writing his death warrant before he fought Steve Erceg, myself included, and we got proven wrong the hard way. So now I'm looking at if Pantoja wins this fight, if he goes out there and submits him, you take your hat off to him. You say, what a great champion. A guy who's done his thing. But when I look at plus 225 on a guy who's got a ton of UFC knockdowns, a proven track record as an underdog, 59% ROI, 3-2 as an underdog, should have won a 4th fight as an underdog in his last 5. The guy has been aces, and nobody believes in him still. Nobody's giving him any credit. I was doing my report, right? I'll go back to the Patreon real quick and see where the money was coming in on this fight. But I could tell you I was bullish on where the market was at earlier tonight. The handle for this fight, guys, was over $250,000, according to Pickett. Pantoja was seeing 87% of the reported dollars, 80% of the tickets. You would expect him to be minus 400 in that kind of scenario, right? 80%, that's minus 400, right? We got it right here. The favorites mug. Shout out to the odds mug. Shout out to Z's MMA, an original MMA legend. 80%, okay? Minus 400. he's seeing 80% of the money plus 87%, right? So you actually expect him to be like minus 500 type play. Is that what I'm seeing, right? I don't see it as being that one-sided. So I think Pantoja in a sub-only market, I'd make a minus 1,000. I just think that I would probably make High Car Friends a plus 150, plus 125 type underdog here. I think he's going to go out there and compete hard. So fun fight, good scrap. Let's find out who's right and who's wrong. I had some people tell me I'm a fool for that Kai Car France take, and I just might be. You know, I always tell you guys, I never say I get it right every time. I've been wrong plenty of times. I've been right plenty of times. So we'll see what happens tonight, but I'll always celebrate the wins and own the losses. Last up, guys, the main event of the evening. I have been an Ilia Topuria believer, and I'm still an Ilia Topuria believer. You know, if you guys go back, I picked him to beat Volkanovski. One thing I try and do is be ahead of the curve, and it's hard to do consistently. Okay, I will acknowledge that. Sometimes you jump the gun. I bet Yair Rodriguez for a half a unit at plus 300 against Alexandre Volkanovski. And you know what he did? He got absolutely smoked, guys. But then the next time out, I bet multiple units on Ilia Topuria, plus 125, plus 154. I believe those were the two numbers that I got. I bet multiple units, like 1.25, 1.25. And I'll tell you why. I thought that Volk's time was up. And I thought that the two ways that you could beat Volk were to be an extremely dynamic finisher, to have massive punching power. I thought those were critical components. I've said it for a long time. I had said I thought Josh Emmett. Oh, shit, the fights are on. Guys, main event. I got Ilia Topuria. I think he smashed it. Let me get this freaking... I have been so sidetracked. Let me get this pulled up. Da-na-na-na-na-na. 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 All right, here we go. Now I've got it pulled up. All right, guys. We're going to be a little bit on delay, but away we go. I'll give you timestamps when I have them. This will be the last fight I call. I'll do a shoey on the way out, but we got to call this Talbot-Lima fight. Prospect on prospect crime. Peyton Talbot fighting out of the orthodox stance. Same for Lima. Lima's giving up some size here. Talbot looks like he's got great vision right now in the pocket. Neither guy's connected on much. We got 434, 3, 2. Lima's starting to find the range a bit. What Lima does not do is overthrow. He doesn't throw too much, right? But what he does throw, he tends to throw with a lot of intent. Nice job with that 1-2. That was so sharp. Oh, and that right hand is beautiful. Felipe Lima is definitely showing that he's not a punk in any position, man. One thing that he's done well is neutralize volume from his opponents. 75% defense on significant strikes coming into this fight for Lima. Talbot's starting to close down the distance, though. That was a good 1-2 from Talbot. Nice right hand from Lima over the top. Clears some space with some lateral footwork. Nice outside low kick from Peyton Talbot. Lima gets into the first clinch exchange. Nice overhook. Talbot tries to dig an underhook. Beautiful knee to the body from Lima, and he shuts him down with an underhook, excuse me. Lima tried to shuck inside for this nice body lock position. Let's see what happens here. Talbot circles him along the fence. Talbot did a good job circling off there. Here, let me go ahead and get this off the screen. We'll go full screen. We'll go full commentary for you guys right now. Nice shot. Beautiful job by Felipe Lima. He's going to try and take the back right away from that. Nice job by Peyton Talbot getting back up to his feet. Talbot's in the rear waist cinch. Talbot just rolled for a crazy scramble in exchange. I think Lima kind of went a little bit too dynamic there. He probably could have kept it a little more basic there. Yep, that was a mistake by Lima. Lima got a little overzealous. Good job by Talbot. Making an adjustment. Talbot's in the top position looking for some ground and pound now. Lima's got to be careful here. That was a nice job by Talbot. He was wrestling a little bit from ankle control. That was smart. But now Lima's back in open space. We got 2:19, 17, 16, 15 on the clock. Lima's working back up to his feet, goes for a roll. He might get into this knee bar entry. Wow, beautiful job. That rolling knee bar entry was nice. Peyton Talbot does a good job to adjust, get back into the full guard. Short elbows from Peyton Talbot on top. Nicely done by Peyton Talbot. Talbot clearly has made an investment in his wrestling and grappling. He made a lot better decisions here to try and pursue the top position in this fight. Peyton size bullying Lima. Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Dixon. He's done a good job leveraging his frame so far in this fight. Now Lima's done a good job digging an underhook. I actually thought Lima was having more success in the striking. When he pushed it into the grappling phase, he got a little bit overzealous, and Peyton was able to do a great job. See, Peyton just made a huge mistake, though, and now he flatbacks himself. See, that's the difference between physicality and technique, guys. Peyton Talbot used his physicality to get on top in the first exchange, and he tried to use his physicality in the second exchange, and a nice takedown with a sweep of the foot for Felipe Lima. Caught him off balance. That was really smart and technical wrestling from Felipe Lima. Guys, when you're going against a big guy, trip their fucking feet. I can just tell you, I wrestled 160 pounds when I was in high school. I was the shortest guy in most matches that I wrestled, and I used a lot of trips. I got a lot of people off balance. It's a really good way to leverage size against a taller opponent. Peyton Talbot's looking for these guillotine entries, but he's going to give up a pass if he's not careful. Felipe Lima, beautiful grappling technique. He's looking to pursue the back now. 39 seconds left in the round. This is where Felipe Lima is so dangerous and opportunistic. I told you guys, the one difference between him and Houndy Barcelos, Houndy is more technical. Lima is fast and dynamic with his opportunities. He's looking to be very, very opportunistic and sneak something in there. Peyton Talbot did a good job scrambling, got back up to his feet from Turtle. Nice job. This might end in a split decision. Shout out to Tim. Fair play, my man. Absolutely. Both these guys are high-level prospects. I will say my article prediction was actually Felipe Lima by sub or split decision. So that's hilarious. We both saw it the same way. I honestly don't know who won that first round, guys. I thought that the better work on the feet was done by Felipe Lima. I thought that the better work holistically on the ground was done by Peyton Talbot. I think that overall, it was a kind of round where I'd probably give it to Lima based on optics, but I certainly think it was a close round, and I would not fault anybody for giving it to Peyton Talbot. Yeah, I'm looking at the comments that I'm getting from my Patreon. They all have different perspectives on who is who's winning, and I feel the same way. I don't know who they're going to rob here, says Dixon. I will say, if it comes down to a super close decision, I think they'll give it to Talbot. He's more of a social media star. That's just the sad reality of the business. But on the other side, like I do think both these guys are super quality, and I honestly, that's the kind of round where I can't really fault the judge. Like, hey, you pick this guy, like. It's more subjective than anything. But I just think based on holistic, who did more, I kind of felt like it was Lima, but it was certainly close. Certainly close. And now we've got both guys going back at it again. I got 4:48, 7, 6 on my clock. Peyton Talbot's on the front foot, looking to get after him with the jab. Nice knee to the body from Peyton Talbot. I think that was read well by Lima, but certainly a good way to mix up your offense. Good jab by Talbot. Talbot was getting in the pocket, and then he just got fucking smacked with a 1-2 that really jarred him and got his attention. Talbot's volume is there, but Lima throws so hard and so committed when he goes, man, and he's getting some respect from Talbot for doing that. Nice single leg from Lima. Wow, beautiful defense from Talbot. The scramble is insane. Talbot's on top in the scramble. Man, Talbot's been working on that wrestling, baby. You could tell that. Both these guys are so skilled and talented, but Peyton Talbot using that physicality right there, and now he's going to work with some ground and pound. Really good scrap from both these guys, man. They're both showing how bad they want it. There's still 3:48 on the clock, so Lima, in my opinion, is now down clearly in this round. He's got to get something back going. Talbot's on top, looking to open up with some ground and pound, but we do know that Lima was able to reverse his position before, and now Lima's back up to his feet. Talbot's defended 6 of 7 takedown attempts from Felipe Lima. That's extremely impressive. Nice jab. I do think there was one reversal in the mix, though, that got Lima some more top position. Lima's jab has been potent, man. When Lima throws, he's getting a lot of respect from Payton, and a nice spinning attack from Lima as well. Lima is the sharper striker, but Talbot just does more on the feet. It gives him more opportunity. You're seeing the difference between a sniper and a guy who's shooting a machine gun, you know? Lima's a sniper. He's picking good shots that land hard. Talbot is throwing da-da-da-da. Nice body shot from Lima, ripping. Left hook on the counter. And now he goes for the shot. That was a brilliant entry. Talbot hits him with the hips, though. Dude, Talbot is just out-physicaling this guy right now. Felipe Lima, that was beautiful technique. He goes in on the legs. He gets in on the hips. He wraps the leg around the outside, but he tried to cheat the finish, and now Talbot is back on top, opening up with some ground and pound. Man, hats off to Payton Talbot, dude. He's fighting so much better in this fight than Raoni Barcelo's fight. He said last time out, my body was not responding the way I wanted to, and I think that he's starting to put some truth behind that, you know? Wow. 2 minutes 16 left. Right now, I would say at best case scenario, it's 1-1 for Felipe Lima if he's not able to change the complexion of this round entirely. So he's got to get going right here. Talbot's starting to open up with some ground and pound. Lima's doing a good job, guard retention and a hip escape, and now he's back to his feet. So Lima's been going for these takedowns. I really think he's got to win this fight on the feet, you know, because he's going for the takedowns. He's not quite getting them. Talbot's hitting him with hips. He's using his physicality. On the feet, the speed and the actual accuracy and technique of Lima has been potent, but he's just got to make sure that he lets his offense set the table, you know. That was a good job by Talbot, though. Talbot's just doing a little bit more than him right now. One thing about Lima is I do think he's getting a little frustrated in this moment. Nice spinning back kick from Talbot. Talbot's just applying a lot of pressure, and I think Lima's a little frustrated that his takedowns aren't working. And I got to say, Payton Talbot's made huge adjustments, from one fight to the next. In terms of he's getting his guard a lot lower. He's getting to underhooks a little bit more efficiently, but he's keeping everything very tight right here. He was keeping his hands too low against Raoni Barcelos, getting hit with shots to the face, then bringing them all the way back up top, and then getting hit with takedowns low. And in this fight, I think he's just had a better form overall on the feet. His stance has been a little bit better. Nice job, though. Felipe Lima made him miss. That was a beautiful timing on the reactive takedown. Now a good shelving of the leg from Payton Talbot. Let's see where this goes. Oh, Felipe Lima with a beautiful takedown. 38 seconds left in the round. He's looking for the back. Payton Talbot goes to turtle. Felipe Lima's reactive takedowns are the best part of his game. He's going to fall over the top here if he's not careful, though. Talbot's looking for the head. Guys, I mentioned it before. If you can get the arm or the head and pull it over the top, you can get on top position. Payton Talbot just did that. That was wrestling for MMA. Beautiful job, Payton Talbot. It's going to be 1-1, in my humble opinion. 1-1, in my opinion, going into the third. 1-1. Yeah, that was 1-1 or 2-0 Talbot. Round 2 was a Talbot round. I want to hear this corner. What? His corner, Felipe Lima's corner, is telling him the exact same thing that I said, which is they want him to believe in his striking right now. I think that when you look at Felipe Lima, my belief going into this fight was that he needed takedowns to win it. And unfortunately for him, the takedowns have been very hard to come by. Talbot's made the improvements there, but his striking on the feet has been finding a home. So right now he needs to make an in-fight adjustment, and he needs to get after Payton Talbot with his strikes. He doesn't need to overexert, but he needs to find knees, punches, and be very smart and cerebral right now, because I think it could be 1-1. Monotone says the corner could be 1-1. What are the odds right now in between rounds? I don't have them up on screen, and I'm trying to watch and call the fight and talk to the chat at the same time. But I think that right now it could be all to play for in this third round. I think, Lima has to operate under the assumption it's 2-0 Talbot and come out here like a bat out of hell in round 3. But I do believe it could be 1-1 as well. Lima's plus 550 right now in the live market. Wow. Wow. I guess they give Talbot the first 2 rounds then. And man, Talbot's looking sharp. He's got that good jab going. I got 434, 33, 32 on the clock. Lima's got to find something big now. Nice inside low kick from Lima. Nice knee from Lima. He got a good clinch knee. Talbot has a chin from Hades, though. You got to know that as well. Spinning back fist was blocked. Talbot then found his own. Nice 1-2 from Lima, though. That got some respect. Talbot's been there for that 1-2 all night, man. His defense is really, really not good. That's one thing I did point out before this fight, and that's still true after the fight, regardless of outcome. Peyton Talbot just does not have much in the way of defense. He has a lot more in the way of aggression and pressure. You know, he uses pressure as a weapon, but his defense is a lot of having good durability, you know? Nice 1-2 from Peyton Talbot. Felipe Lima's just not doing enough, man, and Peyton Talbot just let him know that. He showed him the hands. Nice shot from Lima. Talbot did a good job finding his balance, though. Lima's got a good entry here. Talbot's doing a good job squaring off. I got to say, man, both these guys have been really excellent tonight. Lima just had a good idea, which was to treetop the leg like Houndy Barcelos. Now he shoots in a blast double and he gets it. Felipe Lima. Oh, nice shot. This kid, Felipe Lima, dude, plays for keeps, man. He is not a quitter in any means. He's been in a tough fight all night on short notice, by the way. Took this fight on less than 5 weeks' notice, and he's showing up fighting hard. I said on the scale, he's a consummate professional. Looked like he was in the best shape of his life. Talbot's hitting that hard switch, but he is now caught in a compromised position. His hips have been flattened out, and Lima's looking to advance to this back take. Talbot did a good job getting to the turtle here. Lima's got to be so smart, man. He's got to drag that leg back out. Talbot's done a good job getting his base underneath him all night, and Lima did get too high last time. He's got to be very careful about this. Got to be very careful here. I'm getting a lag. I wonder if anybody else is getting a lag. All right, we're back on the feet. Rear waist cinch for Lima. Lima's looking to get that hook in. I got 232, 31, 30 on the clock. Lima drops down for a takedown. Talbot does a good job intercepting. Nice short rib roaster from Lima. They're back on the feet. 222 on the clock. Good jab from Lima. You're right that he's moving backwards right now, Dixon. Although I will say he always moves backwards like this. He likes to fight and look for reactive takedowns like this. But I agree with you. Optics could matter in this fight, especially one that's so close like this. Nice job from Talbot putting a couple shots together. Most of that just glanced off the gloves. So I don't think anything actually landed clean for Talbot there. Lima's got to go, though, man. Lima's got to go right now. He does not have much time. 150, 46, 45, 44 on the clock. Nice jab from Talbot. That was a beautiful spinning kick from Talbot. Oh, Lima went for that high kick, lost position. Man, if he settles right here, that's a huge mistake. Wow, that scramble was a huge mistake from Lima. Shout out to Peyton Talbot, man. He did what he needed to do tonight. He's going to take this one 2-1. He's going to probably take this one 2-1. We need something crazy from Lima here. Wow, Talbot tried to cheat the mount there. Wow, he gets to the mount. Wow, Talbot gave a smile from the mount. Roll through by Lima. That's incredible grappling, bro, to put the legs back on the chest like that. Oh, Lima, you dirty dog, you. That's hilarious, Dixon. You are hilarious for that. The vape position, that's disgusting. Oh, my goodness. Oh, this is a horrible position for Lima to end it in. Lima's got to roll through here. Oh, yeah, this is going to be a Peyton Talbot win, man. Peyton's going to take this 2-1. Maybe even 3-0. Wow. Good fight. Peyton looked a lot better tonight, man. He looked so lethargic against Howney, but tonight, man, he looked very sharp. And also, I will say the hair aura is a real thing with this guy, Peyton Talbot, bro. He came with the hair tonight, regular order, looked more like himself. That last one against Howney left a lot to be desired, man, but I think he got this one, 29-28 at minimum. That was a really nice win. Dude, Felipe Lima's a good fighter. He's a very skilled fighter in all positions, but Peyton's willingness, his activity, and his physicality were the difference makers tonight. Like, I'm telling you guys, those shots from Lima, they were beautiful, well-timed, really smart, and Talbot just had a lot of the right answers. Didn't settle on bottom. Knew what he needed to do to win. That was a really good performance, man. Both those kids are really good. I wonder if Talbot could go down, or excuse me, if Lima could go down a weight. You know, he fought at 45, he fought at 35. I'm not trying to push him down a weight class, but Talbot looks big, man. He looks like he's one of the biggest guys in this division. Physically, a lot of guys that are big and long and lanky, they're not muscular. They're not strong. They don't have any kind of physicality, and Peyton definitely has that. Wow. Nicely done by him. Let's hear what the scorecards were. See if I can find this. Three. Peyton Talbot. You know what, guys? I think that means that he won the first round, though, in my defense. I did think he won that first round, and I think easily Peyton took rounds 2 and 3. Nicely done. Easy Talbot money line. Love it. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done. Yep, and it was unanimous across the board. Man, you know something that's so impressive, too? I'm not going to listen to this interview, although I just heard Joe Rogan ask about the wrestling, how he got better, with his wrestling over time. It's very difficult, guys, to improve your wrestling fight to fight. It's something that takes a long time. Wrestling, grappling, it's time on the mat. You can't really substitute for it. And Peyton Talbot just showed when you're a freak athlete, when you have the desire, the willpower, I think maybe he was shutting it off on social medias a little bit and focused on the gym. I had heard an interview with him this week. Let me pull it up on my Twitter account real quick. The interview that he gave was with UFC News, I think it was. Let me go ahead and check this out. So if you look, I said Talbot looks rejuvenated on the scales, right? And I also mentioned when you go back and look through, he did an interview with UFC News about things needed to change, and this was the quote. Mature response from Peyton Talbot after his first professional loss. Tough assignment against Felipe Lima, but I see bright futures for both of these athletes. I still do. After that fight, I didn't come away thinking Felipe Lima's a punk. Felipe Lima is, he's not a guy that wants it. He's not a guy that's skilled. No, he's all those things. Peyton Talbot just is the real deal Holyfield, man. He had another opportunity to go out there and show, hey, I can go with these real guys. He said, I don't want any easy fights. I want hard fights that prove that I'm the guy I say I am. He went out there and proved it this time. No doubt about it. My guy says, Liam, let's be real. Frank Ocean leveled up Talbot's wrestling and grappling. Yo, he might have. Shout out to Frank, bro. Shout out to Channel Orange and all that, Hey, good stuff, everybody. I want to wish you all the best of luck. We're going to do a shoey. We didn't reach our goal today, but I appreciate everybody who donated. I still think that you guys were fucking all-stars today. I want to shout out to everybody who donated. Chris V, he said, thank you, Liam. I appreciate you, Chris. Noah said, thank you, Liam. How many more for a shoey now? No more for a shoey now. How about that? We had Simple Skills Gaming, who just won on Talbot. By the way, shout out to you, Simple Skills. Hats off to you. Congratulations. He said, Liam the GOAT, you're far too kind, my brother. I appreciate you. Chris V said, Shui Vasa. Hey, we'll do it. We'll be there. It'll be live. Killing it, Liam. Do you think there will be a lot of decisions on the main card? We talked about some of the ones that could, including this one. I thought it might be a split. It was no split. Peyton Talbot, unanimous decision, 29-28, it was. Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Simple Skills Gaming. And shout out to Noah. Y'all have earned one of these. This shoe is going to be in the garbage after this one, boys. But y'all have earned an absolute shoey for the boys. So thank you to everybody who rocked with us. I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of the pay-per-view. We're going to hit the shoey. Then we'll sign off. But in the meantime, thank you to everybody. Hit that like button. Smash it. Spinning back fist it. Hit the knee that Delgado hit. Hit that left hook that RoboCop hit. Whatever you feel like, do it on the like button. Do it on the subscribe button. Make sure that you show a little love and support if you enjoy it. But we got to get this off the screen. We got to go big screen shoey. Oh, my goodness. Oh, the old running shoe, guys. It's getting retired today, huh? Here we go. Shout out to Tai Tuivasa. Shout out to the Aussies. Shout out to Kaikar France. For the boys, God bless. Good luck. Enjoy the fights each and every time. It's done. It's over. Until next time, we'll see y'all on the other side. God bless and good luck. Thanks, everybody.